Can everybody hear me? Check, check, 1, 2. Make sure I got a little kick tonight. What's going on, everybody? Well, guys, back on my BS tonight. So I couldn't get nobody to hop on with me tonight, but I cloned Brandon Tabatato.
I killed the other guy. So,
dude, your TikToks have been freaking me out. What is going on in that head of yours?
I don't know, man. I haven't had much time lately to make my usual stuff. So I'm trying to make, short form stuff, and this stuff that stuff has really been scratching the itch. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I love it.
I'm seeing all these weird TikToks floating around, so I'm kind of just like stealing the music and making up my own shit for it. So it's been pretty fun, man. To be honest,
I love them, man. I wanted to say before we get started, I was very upset today. We got really bad news. We lost one of the greats in the music empire. We lost Jeff Beck, famously from the Yardbirds and then the Jeff Beck Group, one of the pioneers of just guitar. He was 78, and we're losing legends every other day, man. So rest in peace to the great Jeff Beck. Cheers to Jeff Beck. His memory will live on. Damn. What is that?
A simple land shark. A general land shark, you could say.
A, a generalized land shark.
That's right.
Man, thank you, Cody Lefke, for the $2 super chat. He says, "I'm getting a tramp stamp of You Need a Candles logo. Please do, please, like seriously, please do." But yeah, Brandon, we got a Friday the 13th this week.
I'm excited, man.
What's your plan?
I don't know. Usually I have like a party or something, but I kind of want to keep it low key. I might just watch like part 4 and 6 and call it a day. You know what I mean?
You have a legit party for Friday the 13th?
Usually, yeah. And it's such a good month for it too, because it's cool and crisp. It's not fucking hot and humid, all this shit. So it would be perfect to have a party, but I'm not really. I don't want to deal with 100 fucking people, this weekend.
Are the rumors true? Does Tabata know Friday the 13th?
I think so, but like I said, I killed the other guy, so I just sort of know what I know. I can't guarantee anything.
What's up, Born to Be Bad? Red.
There he is.
What's going on, everybody? I see everybody in the chat. Saturn, Afro Whale, Kevin, Dave, Steak Sauce, Z Pam. How's everybody doing? So Brandon, this is what I wanted to bring up first, man. So the idea I had was I wanted to do another video where we talk about a movie and I edit pictures and stuff over it. But I figured let's just talk about it live and get the chat involved.
Yes.
I wanted to talk for a few minutes about the New Blood because it seems to me the look of Jason in that film is not underrated at all. And I'm not even saying that the movie itself is underrated because I don't really think you could say any of them are. It's just such a massive franchise now. But I find myself not talking about Part 7 that much anymore because I've since become a really big fan of Part 6 over the last 3 years. Jason Takes Manhattan is always going to be Jason Takes Manhattan. People love that. And I feel like for myself, for some reason, don't talk about the New Blood that much. And I wanted to take a few minutes to break that movie down and just get your thoughts on it because let me set you up some of the opening things I wanted to talk about. Or let me just ask you a question and then you can feed off of this. Does knowing what we didn't get to see in the New Blood, in essence, all the stuff Barbara Sachs cut out of the film, stopped, vetoed, etc.,
right,
does that personally affect your viewing experience for the movie, knowing what you missed?
No, not really at all. I think it would have been cool to see some extra gore and see that, that really grisly makeup job on the dad at the end. That would have been cool, but I think the skeleton's there and intact. I don't think it would have made the film any less or any more enjoyable. It might have pleased the gorehound more, but I think the movie stands for what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this then. Before you learned about the missteps or the problems on production, in essence, the dad coming out of the lake years later with his flesh still intact.
Right.
Did you see the film as a kid and it didn't even cross your mind that he should have been decayed? Or like take me through the process of when you first see that movie. Did you put 2 and 2 together with things like that, or were you just enveloped in this slasher film and just having a good time, etc., and it's not even something that ran through your mind?
By the way, the dad looked at the end.
Because I will say that did run through my mind the first time I watched Part 7. I just low budget though. I didn't chalk it up to problems with production.
Part 7 was a really big in my circle of friends at the time when I was a kid. That Part 7 VHS was really popular. I feel like as a kid that movie was extremely popular, even maybe more than Part 6. And the ending never really bothered me, nor did it occur to me that he should have looked more rotten. I remember watching it with my mom one time, and I remember her saying that it was stupid that he looked so clean or something along those lines. So if anybody called it out, it would have been my mom. But that was basically it. We were too young to really care.
Yeah.
And I still don't really care that much. I think it's hokey, but I mean, he's more like a specter anyway, right? Than an actual guy. Like, it's not really supposed to be a zombie, right? Like Jason, he's supposed to be like a ghost kind of thing, I'm assuming.
Yes, because of what happens in Part 8 is why I'm saying yes, though. I think it really depends on what the next, because when you think about it, to me, the way part 8 ends. But then again, now we're getting off on a tangent, but fuck it. Then again, didn't you talk about you see the end of part 8 as Rennie hallucinating?
I do. I
So
feel like
maybe the
that should
answer,
have been,
then
yeah,
maybe my answer should be no. Then if he's a ghost and that's what happened to him, then I could see him as a ghost in 7. But if it's a hallucination and that's not really what's happened, then I would say he's a zombie, personally.
right. Yeah, fuck, I don't know. That's gonna make my brain hurt now.
You know what I'm saying? Does that
Yeah,
make sense?
it does. I don't know. That's gonna bother me now. Maybe I shouldn't watch that movie this Friday.
And that's the thing. That's why I wanted to talk about the New Blood, because for some reason I just don't watch that one as much. Like, let's be real. I don't know how many of us actually wake up early enough and just binge all the movies all day. I can do 2, 3, 4 a day sometimes. I think the most I ever did was like 5,
Mhm.
but I never make it to part 7, or I just skip it. Like, I'll do the New Line movies, or I'll do 4, 5, 6. That's one hell of a trio,
Yeah.
or 1, 2, 3. But 7, I feel like it just gets lost. And then 8 is the last of the Paramount. So it's like, it's the last chapter.
Mhm.
And it's just interesting to me. That's why I wanted to talk about it. But I mean, the look of Jason is obviously pretty iconic. I know a lot of, when we did that video for Unita ranking the looks,
Mhm.
most people agreed with Nick. They were like, "Oh no, part 7's hands down the best look
Yeah.
of him."
Yeah, I feel like that's the iconic look, and I agree with you. I think part 7 is sort of this is sacrilegious to say this, but getting through part 7 now, maybe it's because we've seen it so much. Part 7 is kind of a slog to get through. It's a great slasher movie. It's a great Friday entry for what it is. The look of Jason's awesome. Kane Hodder's awesome. The cast and crew did a pretty good job, but it's just kind of a slog.
Which is interesting, because I wouldn't really disagree with you totally, but the interesting thing is it has my favorite non-Jason character in part 7. Truly, is Bad News Cruz.
Yeah, Bad News Cruz kicks fucking ass. I
He's my
think
favorite character.
it's such a serious film because part 7 is extremely serious and dark. Like there's some hokey, funny moments, but
It's
they're
played straight.
yeah, they're mostly incidental stuff. Like part 6 had straight comedy, which was fantastic for what that was. But part 7 is so serious. It feels more serious, or at least trying to be more serious than like part 4, which was a very dark and serious, gritty film. But I think maybe that's why part 7 is so. It's a very strange movie in the series because like it tried to be this straightforward, humorless slasher film. Maybe that's why it's a slog. I don't know. Maybe it's just too serious.
Do you think there could have been a different element to go into? Because I think when you look at it, 6 really did just break that fucking mold for that franchise, right? And in a tonal sense, really. Because do you consider part 5 a different tone, or is it just is sleazy enough to differentiate it tone wise, or is it still just that?
No, part 5 has a very sleazy tone, and I think that's
Right.
enough. Part 5 feels different. Part 5 feels psychedelic in its own way, just like 6 does. Part 8 feels psychedelic and weird.
What
I
is
feel
the
like once
feel
you
of
got
7 then? I guess that's
that's
the
exactly.
question.
I feel like after part 6, any movie was going to fail after that. But like part 7 was missing something. Great film. I'm not sure if I would change anything, you know what I mean, about it. But there was something either missing or something they did strangely that made it feel apart from the other films.
Yeah.
Maybe it was too drab in color. Maybe there wasn't enough color because it's a very dark film color-wise. Like it seems like desaturated a lot, part 7.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the issue. I don't know.
It's a
I
good
don't know.
question. It's a
They
good
shot that
question.
movie in winter, right?
Yeah,
In
and like
Louisiana, correct?
maybe somewhere
Yeah.
in the South. I
I
think it
feel
might
like
have
you
been
can
Georgia. No, it
yeah,
was
somewhere.
maybe 6 was Georgia. I don't know, but it was in the South, because I know what Southern Woods looks like.
Yeah.
So do you. Those
And
are
I feel
Southern
like
Woods.
that movie looks cold, and I feel like Friday movies should feel hot
Hot. Yeah.
and summery. Like part 5 feels like a hot, sweaty Jersey summer. Part 6, I know most of the movies weren't even filmed in Jersey. None of them were, I don't think. But they feel like summer films. They match what they're supposed to be. Part 7 feels like a winter film, which is fine. Maybe it takes place in the winter, but I thought they blatantly say, we're here for the weekend or some shit. Oh, I guess they're there for the guy's party, so it could be winter, but I don't know. There's a tone There's a tonal shift that I'm not really a fan of in part 7.
Yeah, let's see what the people are saying. I'm surprised in part 7 her father was still at the bottom of the lake years later, not decomposed. I noticed that the first time watching it. I really did. Because because the continuity's off in the sense that Jason is clearly decomposed.
Yeah.
Right? And they didn't even bother to pull a goddamn father out of the water. They just left it there.
But you know what, dude, to its credit,
Or was he a
part
ghost?
7, exactly. Part 7, to its credit, gave us a very viscerally scary Jason. Again, like I love CJ Graham. CJ Graham is probably my favorite Jason overall, even though part 8 is my favorite look. But part 7 Jason was fucking scary. Like that guy was going to kill you. Just like part 6 Myers is the scariest. I think part 7 Jason really is a formidable threat, and you feel that.
So where does part 7 land in your ranking then? If you could guesstimate it.
Definitely top 5.
Oh, really?
I think so. Because number 1 would be 6. Number 2 would probably be Final Chapter. Number 3, Jason Takes Manhattan. And then it would probably be 5 and then 7. Maybe 7 then 5.
So where did the Jason Takes Manhattan and for the chat too, because I always love talking Jason Takes Manhattan. I guess we could talk about a lot of these tonight in preparation for this Friday, but where and when did the love for Jason Takes Manhattan start for you? And was it a slow build or was it right away?
It was right away. I don't recall the very first time I saw Jason Takes Manhattan, unlike most of the VHS films I saw as a kid. But that movie, I remember liking it from day one. I can't remember specifically about it, but I remember the neon pinks and the blues and the opening theme song and all that stuff, man. The way Jason looked and the boat, it was just so cool as a kid. Like that movie pops, man.
Oh, dude.
That movie feels like a music video. So that movie blew my mind as a kid. And I don't think that's why I like it now, because there's a lot of movies I don't like now that I loved as a kid. So it's not the nostalgia. There's just something about part 8 that works. And I'm really glad to see that it's getting the cult following it deserves. You know what I mean? So,
dude, it's Darkest Side of the Night for me. Like that's one of my favorite songs.
It's so good. It's so good at setting the tone for that movie.
It really is.
Like that song feels like the fucking movie.
It really does. You can't. It's literally impossible to differentiate it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I say that. The reason I think it works because even if you change, if that song was a song beforehand and I knew the song, it's still a good song. It's not that Friday the 13th makes it cooler. It's that it's already a really, really good song. And then putting it in that movie was just like, holy shit, man.
Yeah. And you know what's weird about part 8 is I know a lot of people don't like that movie for various reasons, but one of the big reasons I hear a lot is because it's the Disney Friday movie, because you don't see a lot of gore or kills. But I'm like, part 6, I think, is the best Friday film. I know a lot of people do too. And that movie doesn't show a whole lot of gore either on screen, part 6.
No,
so I really don't think that's the issue with part 8. I think the issue with part 8 is the title says Takes Manhattan. But that movie is fine. It's structured well. It's a creepy boat, and then he gets to New York. I think if they had just titled it something differently, people wouldn't hate it as much.
Yeah.
The title fucks it, I think.
One of the biggest sins in part 8 for me. I just think if they could have taken another take at it or something, when he slices the captain's neck, I understand he can't use the real side of the blade, and they probably had to use a real blade because it was a close up, but he had the dull side, but he physically did make contact with his neck. Right. He might have barely touched it. And I'm just thinking to myself, God, guys, come on, just like one more try, one more stab at that. You know, stuff like that.
I hear you.
But I mean, they nailed Julius getting his head punched off. That
was fantastic.
Absolutely amazing.
See, how can you not like part 8? At least enjoy it as a Friday film. These people despise it. I'm like, how the fuck?
Yeah.
I just don't get it, man. I don't get it. Yeah. I can understand despising Jason Goes to Hell. I like that movie. I can understand despising Jason X. I love that movie. But Jason Takes Manhattan, there's a finesse to that movie, man, that people just don't. A lot of people they're waking up to. I'm glad, but a lot of people are just like, fuck this movie. I don't get it.
Yeah.
I do not get it.
I really love all of them. I mean, so wrapping up part 7 though, and then we can talk about more. So with 7, do you think another thing that was maybe missing from part 7 was the that's right, Bobby. Part 8 was my favorite in ranking the looks of Jason.
Yep.
I think my number 1 was part 3. I love the look of part 3. Looks like the ghost to me. I love it. But my question is, do you think? I think one of the things that could be missing from part 7 is 4, 5, 6, up to that point, all had really cool added elements with cool songs. Part 4 had that song "Crispin Dance" too, from the band Lion, which I covered. Love that song.
Yep.
5 has Pseudo Echo.
Fantastic.
6, you can't. 6, you're not beating.
No.
You got the king, Alice Cooper.
Yeah. Right.
Where's the music in 7? What's the song?
Yeah. It's 7 mostly is just that drum over and over the whole soundtrack.
Yeah, and Fred Mullen did a good thing with the dun 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 dun. That's cool, but where's the song? There is a song that I have on my playlist. I'm looking for action, something like that, but you can't really hear the song. The song's in the background at the party,
right?
And I didn't learn about the song. I couldn't figure out the name or anything until I deep dove searched it, just because I needed to know what song was playing. And it's actually a pretty good little song, but that element, I didn't think about that till just now, but that element's completely missing from the film. That identifiable, and that would have been, I think you would agree with this, that could have been the Wasp Friday the 13th movie. Yeah. Something heavier, something meaner, like something like that. That could have been a really good harder rock, borderline metal Friday the 13th movie.
I agree.
And that element is just gone. Even if it would have been right at the credits. You know what I'm saying? Because, man, you're not beating the opening and closing of part 6. You're just not.
Yeah, you're not.
But you don't do that way. You go harder. Because, like you said, 7's bleaker. It's more saturated, darker. Boom. Give me something. Don't tell me Wasp couldn't have made a killer track for.
Oh, that would have been sweet.
I'm just saying, for some reason, Wasp is, when I think of New Blood, the perfect dichotomy I can think of is Wasp, because they're like they're not metal, they're hard rock, but they're not really hair metal either. They're like this weird blend of rock and saying. So damn it, man, that could be what's missing, man.
It could,
because and then part 8 obviously has got Darkest Side of the Night, which is perfect. I mean, the cool thing is that's Fred Mullen himself who did the song. So
yeah. Well, part 7, you mentioned that song in the party scene. Isn't there a secondary song too when the girls are in the lawn chairs out front and she's like, "There goes the neighborhood"? Isn't there another song playing there?
Yeah, but that's the problem. See, it's not we wouldn't know it unless we had to research it and try to figure out what song it was. I can tell you what's the song is from part 7. I have it saved in my playlist. Let me see. Sometimes I wonder. It's a decent little song. It really is. Now I want to say it so the people can listen to it if they want to go look for it. God, I've got so much Danzig on my playlist.
It's not a bad thing.
I love Danzig.
And while you're looking, I just want to reiterate, I'm not hating part 7. Part 7 is fantastic.
We're breaking it down.
It's fantastic. Wasp is a perfect band. That would be great.
It is. Isn't Wasp a good? Wasp would be good. Damn it, where is it?
Look up something real quick.
I'm probably passing it up on my playlist.
I'm looking at the track list for Leatherface real quick, the 1990 film.
Dude,
because that movie had a fantastic soundtrack. That should have been a similar soundtrack to New Blood.
I got it. The band is called FM, and the song is called Magic in Your Eyes.
Ah, okay. I'm gonna put that on my playlist real quick. FM, Magic in Your Eyes. I'll go back to this later.
Here's the artwork, guys, for the record. That if you're a Friday fan, you like to listen. If you're like me, you just like to listen to the songs from your horror movies you love.
Mm-hmm.
FM, Magic in Your Eyes, and the wallpaper. The art is like a snowy forest with a cabin. So add that.
It's like an early black metal album,
but it's good. It's kind of like new pop, like new wave pop, but it's a good song.
I'll tell you this though, man. The opening recap in part 7 is hardcore.
It is.
Like, it's serious, it's dark, it takes out all the comedic elements of 6 and makes it like that's a fantastic opening, that recap.
Yeah.
But after that recap, there should have been a whole opening theme song for the credits, not just the exploding mask, which I was happy to see return, but that's where the theme song should have been, is right after that recap. That would have been fucking awesome.
Dylan brings up a good point. We really need Jason back on the big screen. Now,
Yes.
Pizzle swears up and down, and it's not like he gave me any information or anything, or that he has any. I'm not saying, but he was like, Christian, like, we're getting another movie. We're not just getting a TV show. Don't think we're getting a TV show. So let's set this up. What if we could make the next Friday the 13th movie? What mistakes do we need to avoid? What direction do we need to go? Do we take it back to just pure basics?
Oh, that's a good question.
And who produces it? That's the most important question.
Fuck. You go first. I'll piggyback.
This is going to be controversial. Maybe not. Watch the chat say, no, Christian, you're totally right. I do not want Blumhouse getting anywhere near it.
Oh, fuck no.
I don't want
absolutely
Blumhouse
not.
even. I don't want Jason Blum to ever say the word Friday. I want Jason Blum to never utter. I don't want him to listen to The Cure. I don't want him to do anything that will ever make him say the word Friday out of his mouth. There's a chance if we see this television show and A24 does a good job at this television show, I don't mind them producing it if they get the right director, because obviously I know you weren't a big fan of X, but obviously Ty West is not going to PC a Friday the 13th movie. I don't think anybody, and that's not a political thing. I'm really not trying to make it a political thing. I don't think anybody left, right, front, or center wants a super PC Friday the 13th movie. We want kids having sex, doing drugs. I say kids. I guess they should be adults, right?
Yeah.
Doing all the crazy stuff we did before we had all these cell phones and crap. Do we make it an 80s movie?
I don't know, man. I think we're in 80s fatigue now. Honestly, I think.
What if we? Fair enough, but what if we desensationalize it? What if we stop making it seem so flashy and cool, and we make it gritty 80s?
Yeah, if we bring it back, the wood paneling,
like real 80s. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the wood paneling and the big heavy boom boxes and stuff. Yeah,
It's got the wood paneling.
It's
people. Yeah. I know, like, I have friends now that are going to get wood paneling to put in their movie rooms and stuff just so they can have that feel again.
Yep. There's something warm and cozy about it, man. It's because every fucking house and trailer and duplex had that shit back in the 70s and 80s, I swear.
My house has some wood, not all the way on the walls, but like halfway down, it's like the wood panels.
Oh, nice.
And then the trim. We painted it white, so it's not wood color anymore. It looks a lot nicer, but
I could be down with that. That might work because the 80s is still primitive enough. You wouldn't have to worry about cell phones, social media, internet, all that shit. I feel like all that stuff would kind of get in the way. So yeah, 80s would probably work. Even 90s would kind of work, early 90s. But then again, you wouldn't necessarily have to have a time period either. You could just have it.
How about this? What if we did early 80s and we get away from the Poison look for people and stuff, and really it's almost 70s vibe, right?
Yeah,
it's so not like I talked about
movies then. Yeah.
Yes,
conservative dressed kind of stuff. Yeah,
a little what do you call it, bell bottoms? My thing is this, dude. Like, I think Jason. Do you think? Well, he was a human, really, in the remake. Do you want zombie Jason?
I do want zombie Jason, but I want them to get to zombie Jason.
In one movie or in...
No, after like 3 or 4. I don't want a requel. I don't want a sequel. I want a total straight reboot of the first film. I want 3 plot twists. So it is Pamela Voorhees killing people. Then we find out it was actually his dad killing people with her. And then he gets killed. And then we see Jason show up on the shoreline and take the hockey mask from his dad. That's where he gets the hockey mask from. That's the 3 twist punch of the first remake. That's what I want to happen. So psych people out twice and then have Jason show up, take the fucking hockey mask, and have it be the Cooper style mask from part 5, the cover of part 5, that weird looking with the square nose. Have
Yeah.
it be that shit. And then in the sequel, have Shelley show up with the mask, the actual mask we're used to. Jason's mask breaks, and then he takes the iconic Shelley mask from a new version of Shelley, and then we move on from there.
Now
Keep it organic.
and that sounds cool with me. I'm all about doing a retelling too, but here's what's probably going to happen. Or let me ask you this: what are the odds of this movie going straight to streaming like Netflix?
Oh, fuck.
And then
I hope not.
I've heard, dude, listen, I've heard this from a few of my friends that have people that are in the inside in LA, and they were right on everything about Texas Chainsaw Massacre that I heard about.
Mhm.
They've been wrong about some other stuff, but they told me Netflix was interested because what he told me was did not expect the numbers that Texas Chainsaw Massacre would. They picked it up as like a B thing, the movie.
Yeah.
It tested so poorly. And so they were like, let's find a home. I'm serious. Like the movie tested very poorly, the new Texas Chainsaw. And apparently they just were trying to get a deal. And Netflix picked it up as just like a what the hell kind of pickup because they're starving for content, quite frankly, because Paramount and all these companies are doing their own thing now. And so the rumor was that Netflix were astonished by the number of views the movie got. If you notice, the movie wasn't promoted on Netflix. Not only that, I had to when it came out, when I pulled up Netflix, for Texas Chainsaw Massacre didn't show up on the homepage. I had to literally go search for it.
Yeah.
I had to search for it. It wasn't promoted at all. But the fans came out in droves, and the movie got like 1.9 million views or something in like a matter of a few weeks. They were astonished by it. So now apparently, I can't prove it obviously, but apparently Netflix is highly interested in getting another slasher like that. And if it went to Netflix, the talk was that I heard was bringing back Amy Steele, who survived, and doing a movie with her.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something you would
So
ponder?
he wouldn't have the hockey mask though, technically, right? If they were picking up directly after part 2.
No, but they could say he continued his reign and
Okay, like
dawned, you know what I'm
another
saying?
legacy kind of thing. I don't know, man. I'm kind of burned down on the legacy sequels. That would be cool. She's been wanting to come back since the that 2013 documentary came out, right?
Yeah,
She was
when
saying,
she
"Oh, I'm all,
realized
yeah,
she wanted to move on and do quote unquote bigger and better things,
yeah,
but and she did some cool stuff. I saw her in Family Ties. She was on an episode of Family Ties, but yeah, she did April Fool's Day, which is a great little film.
mhm,
But I don't think she realized at the time. A lot of them didn't how big these movies were going to be.
yeah." I know she's a fan favorite, but I wonder what the reasoning is to carry on after with her in mind. Like, what would be why would they pick her as the final girl to continue with? Is because she's the most popular of the remaining final girls? Because Alice is, dead, obviously.
I think she's popular. I think she's able.
Mhm.
Still, she's very able. I don't think Adrienne King could carry a movie. As much as I like her, I don't think she could carry a movie. She hasn't acted, I don't think, since, right? She did
I
those
haven't.
movies. She did part 1 and part 2, and then she had a bad stalker problem after that. Really bad stalker problem that I think
Yeah.
just, she was like,
Mhm.
I don't want nothing to do with this stuff anymore.
Yeah.
I think she would be a contender to go that route. I mean, let me ask you this. Would you rather see an Amy Steele requel or a Corey Feldman, Tommy Jarvis requel?
Ooh, man, that would be if they made it balls to the wall batshit, it would have to be a Feldman sequel.
Do you think he could do it? He's got
I
it
think
in
he
him.
could do it. I think he could do it. Because listen, as shitty, well, actually, no, as shitty as Lost Boys: The Tribe was, Corey Feldman was fun as shit in that movie. But The Thirst that came out, Lost Boys: The Thirst, that movie was good all around, and he was excellent in that movie. So I think he could definitely carry a movie if it was written properly. He had a little bit of creative control. I think it could work for sure. And he would totally do it too. You know what I mean?
I think he would. He talks highly about Friday the 13th when, like, he was on Steve-O's Wild Ride podcast.
Yeah.
He talks highly about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, why wouldn't he? It's probably in some, well, no, in some circles, that's his most popular movie in the horror fan circles, but in the pop culture, people probably think Gremlins or Goonies, right?
Well, about Feldman, would you rather see a Feldman Jarvis sequel or a Tom Matthews?
Deadass.
Yeah.
Feldman. Because let me tell you why. I wouldn't know what in the hell to expect. Now, if we get a Tom Matthews sequel, bottom dollar is you're going to get a pretty damn good movie with him.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw him in the Never Hike Alone movies, and he's
Yeah.
a good actor. But
Yeah.
with Feldman, it's either going to be a shit show or an absolute masterpiece, and I'm willing to roll the dice, and I think you are too.
Oh yeah. I think. Do you think? Speaking of the fan films,
he needs it, man. Give Feldman that role.
Yeah, Never Hike Alone. Tom Matthews is back. Vinny Gustafaro is back in those movies as their respective characters from Six. Do you think the existence of those movies kind of ruined any chance of them ever coming back officially in an official film because those fan films are so popular? Because Tom Matthews is back in the Vengeance movies too as an alternate Tommy Jarvis. So like he's in a bunch of fan films as Jarvis. So I'm like, would they think he's too oversaturated now to ever bring him back?
You want me to give you the honest answer? I think a little bit, possibly. I mean, you think about it. If you're an executive for A24, blah blah blah, are you gonna say, "Well, hey, such and such was just doing the fan film. Should we bring him in the real thing?" Or do you think that would give a lower perception?
Exactly. I feel like they kind of screwed themselves. Well, they didn't screw themselves. Those are good fan films. I'm glad they're made. I'm glad they exist, but it's kind of damning at the same time, you know, when you think
my
about
gut says that there's a chance that could if and you know that there's been this talk. I got to interview Tom McLaughlin right before COVID, I think, 2019. Yeah. He is still chomping at the bit to make his new Jason script.
Yep.
He wants to make it so bad.
I would love to see it, but I feel like the studio's not going to give him.
Stop making fun of him, Chris Sweet.
Listen, Ascension Millennium kicks fucking ass. Let's just put that out there right now, okay?
I love Feldman, man.
It's dude, hard to not love that guy.
The thing that makes it funny is when you watch him perform Cry Little Sister, it's borderline pretty good. So that's what makes it funny because I don't know. I love him. You know?
Yeah. He seems like a pretty good guy all around. He's weird and quirky, but he seems like a good dude who got fucked over by Hollywood.
I've said this 1,000 times, Brandon. I think you'll agree. For the people that think he's just talking out of his ass to make money, think about who he could have said hurt him with the biggest name in the world, Michael Jackson.
Right.
If he really wanted attention, if he really wanted it, Brandon, those two words put together garner more attention than any human being that's damn near ever walked this earth, with the exception of Jesus Christ. He's never said that.
Yeah, he's actually denied it adamantly.
Adamantly.
But he's called out other people, so it leads me to believe that MJ was a weird guy, but he wasn't diddling little kids. You know?
Don't get me wrong whatsoever. I am no expert. I'm not claiming to be an expert. I don't ever want anybody to think I know what I'm talking about. But when I was in nursing school, which I graduated, by the way, and I got my license and I worked, and I just didn't love doing it. I studied. We took a semester on trauma and symptoms of post-trauma, and we got to shadow at a rehab center, and I got to witness people that had to talk about horrible things that happened to them, and the way they react when they are in a situation where they're having to talk about something awful that happened. The symptoms are like these people clam up, they visibly get extremely anxious, and their You could see the fear. You could literally see the fear in their eyes, and they get repressed, almost like they want to start lying.
Mm-hmm.
Go watch the video clip of Corey Feldman on that talk show with, I believe it was Dr. Oz. And Dr. Oz says, I have the name of one of the guys right here that worked at the Bubblegum Club or whatever it was. And he goes, I have the name right here. Are you prepared for me to say this name? Or do you want to say it, Corey? And Corey, you watch the video, and Corey gets visibly shaken. Wasn't there a Conan O'Brien joke about this? Whatever. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
He gets visibly disturbed by this, and you see him retreat into himself. And the fear when Dr. Oz says the guy's name out loud, he goes, yeah, that's him. That's not acting.
Yeah.
Because Corey Feldman is not that good of an actor. He was when he was a kid. But I'm telling you. I
hear you.
I'm telling you, man, I think Feldman's a good dude. I think he's never had a normal childhood, so why would he be normal? You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So with all that being said, we need Corey Feldman in the next Friday the 13th.
I agree.
What if we did a sequel to Part 5? And Feldman's the killer. That would be something.
That would be the best thing ever.
That's the fan film right there.
That's it.
What are we doing? Hey, can we start an Indiegogo, Brandon? You've got the equipment, right?
I do. Yeah.
If we raised,
you got Feldman's number, right?
If we raised $250,000, we paid Feldman $50,000. We had $150 for production, 3 locations. We can make it a 3-scene movie, right? Is that feasible?
Yeah, 1 location and 2 green screen locations. Just so he can film it from his house and send us the footage.
Can you please describe the plot for our Corey Feldman Part 5 sequel? Are we getting Melanie Kinnaman in this?
Probably. We gotta get the dude who played what the hell's the guy's name from Return of the Living Dead Part 1? The enchiladas guy. I don't care that he's dead. He's got to be in the film. What the fuck would the plot be?
Wait, dude. Miguel Nunez had a spike go all the way through his chest. You're telling me he's alive?
Yeah, he's Reggie the Reckless grown up. Fuck the other actor. We'll just get him to play Reggie grown up.
Why he's around though?
I know, but
talking about. Oh, so you want Miguel? So Miguel Nunez is now playing Reggie the Reckless.
Exactly.
Is he still wearing a red tracksuit?
Who wouldn't go for that, man?
Oh, you've got your pen. You taking notes. So what's the plot? Are we picking right up after the end of Part 5? Are we gonna recreate the scene of Part 5 where Melanie Kinnaman's 40 years older and Corey Feldman's suddenly tall and skinny, but he's got the bald head?
I think besides Melanie Kinnaman and Miguel Nunez, Feldman should play every other part in the film. That's for sure.
Oh man. What's up, Nick? I see Nick in the chat. Jonathan Davis says Feldman is the killer and runs into Danielle Harris, who's also picking it up as the killer from H4. Alexa says, can we put Michael in the green screen background? Fuck Feldman. He canceled twice at the con here. I wanted my Part 4 poster signed. Oh, damn, Justin. I'm sorry.
That sucks.
This is the best comment all night. Feldman's too busy cutting rugs to act. He is cutting some rugs, dude. All right, Brandon, dude. If Corey Feldman comes to Florida, are you going? I think your kid would love it.
Spooky Empire?
No, I'm talking a concert. Corey Feldman.
Oh, shit.
Dude, the Angels. Corey Feldman and the Angels.
Yeah, if he comes to Florida, me and Shanna are going for sure.
Is she a Corey Feldman fan?
No. But we're going.
No.
And we're going to have a blast.
Dude, I want to be in his band.
I feel like 80% of the people going to see him are not fans of him, which kind of sucks, but it's kind of funny at the same time.
Do you remember when he went viral? When was that? 2011?
Mm-hmm.
When he was on the Today Show?
Yeah, and he had a really weird performance and shit. I think that was 2011. No, it could have been that. That wasn't that long ago.
I think it was.
It's like 2015, wasn't it? 2016. I don't know. Who knows?
Let me see. I know time's flying. That's why I say it was like 2011. Maybe it wasn't that long ago.
Bog Zombie says Feldman was in Florida last month. Damn, I missed everything last month. We've been to none of the Spookhalas, none of the Spooky Empires this year. Nothing.
You're right. It was 6 years ago. It was what was 6 years ago? Excuse me. What was 6 years ago?
2016.
Dude,
2017 was 6 years ago.
Yeah, 2016. Jesus Christ, dude. How is 2016? What is it now? 6 years ago?
2016 was 7 now, technically.
What the fuck is happening?
I don't know. I've been sucked into a time void for the last like 10 years, so I have I can't answer that question.
My God. All right, Brandon. So continuing on our Friday the 13th journey. So we've now decided that the new Friday the 13th, and the chat agrees. Chat thumbs up in the chat for me if you agree. Corey Feldman should absolutely be the star.
Yeah.
In the new Friday the 13th film produced by A24, directed by the great, mighty James Wan. James Wan directed Friday the 13th. No. James Wan's not right. He's not the right man for the job. This is not a psychological horror film. This is not a who's directing the new Friday the 13th? Are you up for the job, Brandon?
Yes.
Are you experienced enough to equip with an actor like Corey Feldman?
I think I would have to smoke copious amounts of opium before every shoot, but I think I could pull it off.
What if he demands like every day on set you got to have like peanut
Drugs?
butter granola and like 3 sliced bananas?
Oh, I would. Yeah,
You have it.
Every need that he needed would be met on set.
Oh man. So Brandon's directing the film.
I could do that. Yeah.
Oh, did you see that? Corey Feldman and Jordan Peele are good friends now. Jordan Peele like met Corey Feldman because he bought like Corey Feldman's ear from the Stand By Me movie, the prop ear.
That's
and
cool.
He was on a talk show, and Jordan Peele was like, "Dude, we're friends now. Like we talk, we hang out." So
Yeah.
get ready for a Corey Feldman to be in the next Jordan Peele movie. At least the Angels would be the soundtrack.
Yeah. Do you think Feldman's ever going to have like a resurgence in a mainstream level? Ever?
Honestly, yes.
Because like we're seeing it with everybody else. Like everybody else seems to be having one, but like he hasn't really broken out of this fucking crazy box that he's perceived to be. You know what I mean? Like he's
1,000% yes. Because
he's 50 now, right? He's like 51,
49,
52.
50. But he looks like a star. He looks great.
Yeah.
People aren't aging anymore. He is going to have a resurgence, and I think Jordan Peele could be his ticket. Because let's be dead honest. If Quentin Tarantino wasn't a Halloween fan and didn't become a Danielle Harris fan because of that, would she have been in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
Probably not.
What's the big like? Would you call Danielle Harris an A-list actor?
No,
By today's standards, no. And
unfortunately, no.
I'm not discrediting her. I think I really think she's a great actress.
It's not a knock. I get what you're saying.
It's not a knock.
Yeah.
But she has an in with a big celebrity, Quentin Tarantino, who does what he wants when he wants, because any studio would love to have the next Tarantino film.
Right.
Or in this case, what's going to be the last Tarantino film. So Jordan Peele has the ability to absolutely make Feldman have a resurgence. Now, maybe he won't star in the film for one reason or another, but I totally think Peele is going to put Feldman in one of his movies.
Yeah.
In a scale role, if anything, but watch. Feldman will be in one of Peele's movies now.
Yeah.
But I think he's got one last big run in him.
I can see that.
You know?
They need to like put him in like a mature role, like a dad or an uncle or something that's serious in the film, not necessarily a hokey, goofy, crazy guy.
And give the guy some good stuff to work with.
Yeah,
You know,
good
like
dialogue.
you saw Black Phone,
I
right?
did. Yep.
Call me crazy. I don't think he could have done Ethan Hawke's role. Maybe he could have. Who am I to say he couldn't? But I could have seen him being the alcoholic father.
Yeah.
I think he had what it takes. Now, the guy that did that, I thought was the second best actor in the movie besides Ethan. Ethan's a great actor, but
Yeah.
that dad was awesome.
He was convincing. Yeah, for sure.
But give Feldman something to work with. You know, give him something good to work with.
Mm-hmm.
Why couldn't he? I mean,
yeah, because
we
know he can act, so he could do it with good material. He could do it.
Yeah,
that's what's so frustrating about it. Like even like I hate to bring him up, but Edward Furlong, he can act with the right material, but like we're just like Hollywood. He's just getting shitty stuff.
Yep,
it's infuriating sometimes, man.
And it always seemed to me like Furlong did better when he's working with people better than him.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like look at him in Pet Sematary 2. He's working with the great Clancy Brown. He's around good actors. Obviously Terminator 2.
Yeah.
He's amazing in that film. And then you look at movies like Brain Scan. The guy that played what's the character from Brain Scan? That Freddy Krueger-esque person? That person, somebody in the chat will say the character's name. That guy's a great actor. He was a great character actor, and that just boosted Edward as an actor. Somebody will say that I love that character. What is that character's name from Brain? I love Brain Scan. I fucking love Brain Scan. That is the most 90s horror movie ever made.
These people aren't typing fast enough. Let me just look this up real quick, because I can't remember either.
It's a silly name.
T. Ryder Smith. He played the Trickster.
The Trickster. As soon as you said it, Saturn Video. Good job, Saturn Video. Props, Saturn Video.
Nice.
Ben Grimm said he had a bad autograph experience with Furlong. Well, Ben, if it's not too long, please type it out.
I had a weird one too, Ben. I want to hear yours first, and then I'll tell mine.
So, but yeah, Trickster, that guy was a great actor. He played that role so well, and that to me that boosted him up.
Mm-hmm.
You know. Ali, what's up, Ali? Ethan Hawke was good in Black Phone, but that movie blows overall outside of that. See, I'm not the biggest fan of that movie either. I'm really not.
Which one? Black Phone?
Yeah, I've told you about my problems with Black Phone, though.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's a bad movie per se. But to me, it's just, in my head, it's just like, can we drop these shenanigans and when these kids get abducted, make this a goddamn horror film? You can keep the psychological stuff with the phone in there. Cool, keep that in there. But where's the threat? You know?
Yeah.
He just showed up 2 hours late. Obviously, he was messed up and couldn't write or talk coherently. This was before noon. Jesus.
Wow.
Is yours bad or is that or worse?
Mine wasn't bad, but it was very strange. I'm trying to pull up a picture real quick, Christian, so I can show you this. Can you get these in the chat, I wonder? Probably not.
If you put it in the private chat, I can certainly see it and I can try to add it if you want me to show people.
I can't put pictures in there. Let me send it to you on Messenger real quick if you don't mind. Because it's a cool photo. You got to see it.
Cool. I'll share. Yeah, I could share my screen then if you do that.
Let me show this to you. So in 2019, I think it was March or April at a Spooky Empire spring show, we saw, I think we met Peter Christen. No, that was October show the year before.
The Catman.
Edward Furlong was one of the guys we met at the spring show. I just sent it to you in Messenger, Kristen, 2 photos. And they just loaded. Furlong.
Okay.
I was like, I got to meet this guy. So there's nobody at his table. We approached, and I'm very awkward, socially awkward in person, let alone a celebrity that I've been watching on fucking the big screen my whole life. Here's a hero. You know, Furlong's a hero. T2, Pet Sematary, American History X, Detroit Rock City. Huge actor as far as I'm concerned. Walked up to him, introduced myself, shook his hand, and he was moving real slow, really strange, and he wasn't really making eye. He was like, breaking eye contact a lot. And I paid my money. I got his picture. I got a Pet Sematary 2 picture signed, and he asked me my name and I spelled it for him, and it took him like 3 minutes to write out my name. He's writing really slow and like his lip was quivering and shit. I'm like, are you on something? He was doing something strange. And then I was like, can we get a photo? He walked around the table to give me a photo in this picture here. And it took him like another minute just to kind of walk out there, really slowly hold on to the table. So I'm not sure if he was drunk, on pills, or what. Nice guy, did not seem like he knew where the fuck he was at all.
And you know what sucks is I feel like, in a way, his career is almost, I know this sounds really weird, but I almost feel like his career is his, what's that word you use when I should know it, when you are helping somebody with their addiction but not really, you don't really want to help them.
Yeah,
when
it's
you're
complacent in the
no, enabling.
enabling. That's the word.
His career, in a sense, is enabling his addiction, because even though he's not doing movies really anymore because he's drugged out, these conventions are funding his addiction.
Yeah. Well, this was 2019. I think he's kind of cleaned up now. Like there's the teeth video he did. He seemed really there in that video.
Yeah, but
that could have been a sober moment, I guess. But
yeah, he could have had his. I hope he's doing okay. Nobody wants to see him die.
No, he wasn't impolite either. He was nice. It was just a very strange encounter. And I mentioned to him, I was like, we really need Pet Sematary 3. Somehow just make it. I don't care if it's straight, because Pet Sematary, the remake, was on its way out at that point. Like it was coming out at some point. And he kind of looked at me like he didn't know what the fuck I was talking about. And so I kind of changed the subject, but it was just, it didn't leave a bad taste in my mouth. It didn't ruin, like I'll meet him again at some point. Sure. But it was just it was not what I fucking expected. I knew he was having trouble, but it was just fucking weird. Very strange.
Ali says, CHH, pick a Friday movie for me to watch tonight. I can't decide.
Part 6.
So, Brandon, let's talk about you for a second. How long were you growing that hair out for? Right there.
3 years.
Now, is that, do you go back and forth? Do you let your hair grow and then just cut it and let it grow, then cut it? Or
it's been a cycle for about 10 years now. I'll grow it for like 2 or 3 years, get it long as hell. And I always keep the sides shaved. So once it gets down halfway to my ass, I'll get sick of it. I'll shave it off. I'll keep it shaved for 3 or 4 years. And then I'll get the urge to grow it back out, and then I'll grow it back out again. I think I'm out of that cycle now, because when Isabella was an infant, she liked to pull on the beard and the hair. And the hair and the beard was way longer by the time I actually cut it off than this photo. I grew it out for like another 9 months after this photo was taken. But I don't know if I really want the long hair anymore, man. I like not, because you know what I mean? Like you have long hair too.
It's a
you
pain
sleep in that shit. You wake up and you pull your hair if you put too much weight on it. Like it's a pain in the ass, man.
But here's the thing: you look not better with short hair, but like it works perfect for you. I can't stand my ears. I can't stand the shape of my head with short hair. I don't like the way I look with short hair. Sydney likes it, but I can't stand it. So I just keep my hair long. I don't like to see my ears.
Yeah.
I like seeing my forehead, so that's why I like getting it long enough to where I push it back.
You need to grow it all the way out. That's what you need to do.
Dude. My hair, before I got it cut a month or so ago, dude, my shit was sitting.
I remember.
On my shoulders. It wasn't as long as yours, but it was long.
I was like, what are you doing? What happened with that? You were just like, I got to cut it.
The thing is, dude, the back of my hair, the dead ends get so bad. And the thing is, I just need to go get my hair cut once a month, literally just to trim dead ends. Or I just need to get Sydney to learn how to do it. Or I need to learn how to do it. But anyway.
I hear you.
So getting back to some Friday the 13th, I was going to see what else I had to say. Jason Goes to Hell, was that one that you liked from the beginning too, or?
No, matter of fact, let's see, it's 2023.
I think it took the year out loud.
Yeah, it took until 2017, 2018 that I realized I didn't despise Jason Goes to Hell. I actually loved the film. Is it in my lower tier of the Friday movies? Yeah. But I love all the Friday movies. They're just different levels of love. I saw that in theaters. I wasn't the biggest fan as a kid. I rented it on VHS all the time as a kid. Up until the DVD days, I was still renting that movie every so often. I remember talking shit about that movie left and right with my friends for years. They didn't like it either. And I'm realizing when I turned about 27, 28, that it's like, I don't think I really hate this movie. I think I love this movie. I'm just looking at it the wrong way. And then I realized I actually really do enjoy watching that movie. I don't agree with a lot of the choices. I don't consider it canon to 1 through 8, which I don't think you're supposed to anyway. But I really do like that movie. It's warmed up to me a lot. You know what I mean? Like I can watch that and enjoy it and have a good time. And not just for the sake of roasting it. Like it's an enjoyable film.
I think it's a hoot. And not only that, I don't want the spelling fixed for Voorhees on the mailbox.
Yeah, if you wanted to fix that, they could have some caretaker run over the fucking mailbox and like, oh, I'll fix it, and just have him ramshamble it back together. And that explains the discrepancy right there.
Yeah.
With writing, you can explain anything. That's why it's not a huge deal to me, because that's a plausible real life mistake. Stuff like that happens.
Yeah.
Stuff gets broken, it gets fixed, shit's spelled the wrong way. Like that happens. That's not like out of the realm of possibility.
And I just think it matches the ridiculousness of the movie. Anyway, I think it's hysterical. I like it a lot.
What I think holds the movie back more than it should is I love Manfredini. I love him. But his work, when he went to the all synthesized score where it was all just keyboards, I don't like the way it sounds. And that movie is all the synthesized score. It's not real instruments. It has that really early 90s synthesized
dated technology
instruments. It doesn't sound right, man. It sounds cheesy. That's why I wasn't a fan of the score of Jason X, for the same reason. It sounds too synthetic. And I like synthetic 80s scores that sound like 80s scores, but something about Jason Goes to Hell and Jason X, the synthesized horns and stuff, they just sound so cheesy and dated before they should have been dated. So if Jason Goes to Hell had a full orchestra soundtrack, balls to the wall insanity, like a Hellraiser 2 kind of soundtrack, I think that would have helped that film immensely.
Mm-hmm.
Grand in scale, epic, Army of Darkness style or something. But yeah, I think that's one of the big problems in that movie. And Adam Marcus even said he wanted to do an original score that was orchestral.
Right.
And the studio said we have to use Manfredini, which is fine. Again, Manfredini kicks ass. I love his work, but I think it should have been the other way for Jason Goes to Hell. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Durant.
Holy shit, that was Leslie Jordan in Jason Goes to Hell, wasn't it? He was married to the
Yep. Isn't that crazy?
That's insane. Because I followed him because he's just a funny character, right? And then he passed away, and it wasn't until Sam just said something I realized that's him. Holy shit.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
I was happy that we got that in a 2K scan in the Scream Factory set.
Mm.
Now, did you get that set when it came out?
I did. I had to do the disc swap thing. I still have that extra disc somewhere.
So, well, let me ask you this. Did you know about the discrepancies before you watched them, or did you instantly just put those, were you watching it and then you found them yourself and you're like, what the hell?
No, actually, I got the box. I think I was one of the guys who pre-ordered the box when it was announced, I think, because they announced that problem before they even came out, didn't they?
No. It was within the day, the first day or two, pretty much the first day some of those sets started arriving at people's homes from Scream Factory. They found them quickly. So I would say within 24 hours of them landing on doorsteps, the problems were spotted.
Yeah, then I guess I didn't order it right away. Because I remember when I ordered it, I instantly went to the site that you had to enter like the number and stuff, and enter my order number and say, send me the new disc, or whatever the process was. It was kind of a weird process at the time. But yeah. I never watched the film before I got the replacement disc. No. So
yeah.
I had that bootleg Blu-ray from eBay that I watched.
What was interesting is there was a way to watch Jason Goes to Hell HD uncut on a uncut HD before that set. And it was crazy because I didn't really know about this till the Scream Factory set came out. Mm. So in 2013, when the tin set came out, which I love the tin set, it's still one of my favorite sets ever. The Friday the 13th one, and Jason Goes to Hell is on the cover of that. The digital code for the set had all the movies in it, and even though the Blu-ray for Jason Goes to Hell is cut in HD, the digital code was an HD uncut Jason Goes to Hell. And that was the first time. It was bizarre. And this has been, people that use the code when they got the set have already said, this is true. This is 100% fact. So it's interesting that an HD print of Jason Goes to Hell existed, and it was in 2013, and it was put as a digital code for the set. But why they put the disc as cut makes zero sense.
Yeah.
And then everybody wanted it uncut on HD for so long that bootleg company probably used the HD code somewhere or another to rip it for that Blu-ray. And people were so annoyed because we've been waiting to see Jason Goes to Hell uncut. And then boom, they didn't have the guy's arm snapping and the bone coming out.
Mm.
You know, did you send me something?
I did. Yeah. If
Can
you
I
get
show
time,
it, or
if you get time, show those. The people might like that shit.
yeah. Let me pull it up.
Just because it's an ode to Friday the 13th. Kane Hodder was cool as fuck to me. I know you've met him a couple times too, right?
Yeah. He choked me the first time I met him.
See, I asked him to do the choke thing, and he said he couldn't do that right now because he what did he say? He said something about like a parent complained that he did it too rough with one of the kids or some shit. I was like, that sucks, dude.
Yeah, he got in trouble. I heard about that.
Yeah,
I knew
he
that
was
he
cool as
stopped.
fuck. I feel like he was the most humble, besides like Felissa Rose and like Elvira, surprisingly. I feel like Kane Hodder was like probably the most humble guy we met. He was just cool as fuck. You know what I mean?
All right. You want me to share this? Show the people?
Yeah, sure.
All right.
Why not?
Okay. All right, people, here is Brandon and his old lady meeting Kane. Now, Brandon.
So technically, my toddler met Kane Hodder technically because she was in the belly right there. So that counts, right?
That counts. Now, whose hockey mask is that? And did you paint that?
Yeah, that's my hockey mask. I painted it, and then Kane signed it. And then because me and Shanna were had like a small hockey mask paint thing going. We were making masks and selling them at the time a lot. And since he signed that mask, that was on the background, the first About-A-Vision background I had. I locked it up in storage somewhere in the house with a bunch of other hockey masks that I liked. I cannot fucking find it anywhere. It is gone. Dude, I've dug my house apart. I cannot find that signed hockey mask, and I'm fucking pissed off. So
damn, that's a good looking hockey mask too.
Appreciate it.
You did a good job on that, and it looks like you had one more pick. Let's see.
Yeah, I think that was a blank from JDF Studios, which is no longer around, unfortunately. He made the best hockey mask blanks and chevrons and shit you could get. But yeah, that was him. That same con, he dressed it. We did the Part 8 photo shoot.
That is killer.
He walked up in the costume to the line. Where were we at? And
did people know it was him?
Oh yeah, and he screamed through the mask, "Where's the fucking photo shoot?" Because he couldn't find it. And then we all pointed, and it was awesome. Everybody started laughing. It was a good time. It was a good time. Was he doing? You met him? Was he doing the? Did you meet him in costume, Christian? Or
no, I wish.
I think he did the Jason X photo shoot a couple of years ago, and I know he did Jason Goes to Hell too. And I'm pissed off that I missed him.
Oh,
because that would have been fucking sweet.
You got the best one.
Yeah, it's killer. But the Jason X, I think he was Uber Jason too, dude. I don't think it was regular Jason. I think it was Uber Jason, which would have been so awesome. But
that would have been sick.
Yeah. Bog Zombie, I think that was the Wyndham Spooky Empire. That was in Orlando. So whatever that hotel was, I think it was Wyndham. That was a good con, man. Yeah. Is
that the only con you've ever been to?
But we've been to 2 or 3 spookies, but yeah, we haven't been, and MegaCon, if that counts. But I've been to Dragon Con in Atlanta one time, but we've never been to Comic Con or a Spookala. We want to go to Trans World really bad because that place looks fucking awesome. But that's a fucking journey, man. I think it's in Kentucky or some shit.
Let's see something. We gotta shake things up. Here we go. 1 second. Boom.
There we go.
So let's see. Let's talk for a second. I've become a bigger fan of this film over the last 2 years. The remake. Where are you with the Friday the 13th remake?
I need to watch it again. I haven't seen it in a couple of years.
You sound like you've got reservations.
I did not really warm up to that movie. I didn't like it when it came out. I didn't like it in the years since, really. I've watched it several times. I just can't get into it. It's a competently made movie. It tells a good story, I guess. It's fine. It's fine as a Friday film.
Is that the problem?
I think it doesn't feel like the start of a franchise. It doesn't feel mighty enough. It feels too easy, too clean, too sterile. Trent from Transformers is funny as fuck. I wish he would have survived and carried on through all the Friday movies. He should have been the new fucking Tommy Jarvis. But
Trent is great.
because he was hilarious in that movie.
Here, let me jump in for a second. The opening of Friday the 13th, the remake, I don't think you can name that many better opening scenes in the franchise. I'll give you part 6. I'll give you part 6. I'll be honest with you. That for me, I think the opening scene of the remake is about as good as that franchise has to offer. That may be a bold statement, but when the guy listening to Sister Christian sees him in the woods and he yells in absolute terror, and then Sackhead Jason storms after him, that shit freaked me out in the theater. And when he hung the broad in the sleeping bag over the fire, that was sinister.
It was brutal. My problem with the opening and all the night shots really is it's literally, not figuratively, it's literally too dark of a film.
I know how to fix that.
Turn your brightness up, right?
No, it needs to. I know this sounds silly. It was the same problem with Godzilla 2014. The 4K of Godzilla 2014 completely transformed those night scenes, made everything crystal clear. There was definition and shading, and you can really see Friday the 13th. If 2009 Friday the 13th ever got a legitimate good 4K, that would fix that. Bet money.
Yeah, because when I saw it in theaters twice, I think, and it was sort of a problem, but it was not a problem. Like, I mean, when I got the DVD of it, I was like, I can't see this. I literally cannot see what's going on screen. So you're right with the transfer. Something with the transfer is not correct with the Blu-ray too, I'm sure. But the opening scene is good. The rest of the movie, I don't like the fact that it's sort of it's not a retread. It's sort of a best of, but I don't know. There's a sort of it has sort of that 2009, 2010 pop culture stain on it. It feels too dated. I'm not a fan of it.
Don't tell me you don't miss that era of the world a little bit, though.
The era of the world, okay, a little bit, but the fucking
okay. Here's the big thing. Bog Zombie brings up a good point. The opening scene was the best part of 2009. Not a horrible movie either, but hated the hostage aspect. This is just me. I felt the exact same way Bog Zombie does right now, especially when I first saw the movie. I said, this is BS. Jason would never take a prisoner. And then I said to myself, and this is just me, I'm not trying to preach to anybody or say this is factual. But for me, I truly think to myself, would non-zombie Jason not do that, though, if this person reminded him of his mother? And I really started to second guess that in my head. And I was like, maybe it's not uncharacteristic. Now the tunnel stuff I can understand. Like, what's going on over here in Crystal? Like, what's up with the tunnels? Is he a hamster? Like what is all this? But I actually have come around to the hostage thing, and I really because he thought he thought it could have been his mom. So I've eased up on that. I'm not saying most people are going to agree with that, but for me that it's become something I welcome in that movie, in that context. Not that I want to see it happen again. The ending of the movie is terrible. Terrible. There's no doubt denying it. Terrible. I can't believe they went that cliche for the end of the movie. Just god awful. So the ending I hate.
You know what really bothers me about 2009, among many other things?
The year of the movie.
See, I was still in college when this came out, so the scene where Homeboy, and these are actors, so you can't give them shit for not knowing their drugs, but the dude is smelling the leaves on the plant and like having orgasms, and I'm like, you're not even smelling the bud part of the plant. That's a big problem, Christian.
You did tell me that, and I was like,
that bugs me every time I see that. I'm like, what the fuck is this shit? Like, pot plays a huge part in this movie. Like, there's 2 or 3 scenes where they're talking about pot, they're selling pot, whatever the fuck. You couldn't even get that detail right. That's your audience there.
Yeah.
And do you think the movie would have been better? Because I know you like the film, that's fine. If the opening scene had been the entire fucking movie, if that chase sequence started and it never stopped, that whole movie was those same campers being chased and hiding and waiting it out from Jason. I feel like that would have been a more interesting film if it had started and it just never let up. There was never a pause, a breath until the very end. That would have been balls to the wall insane. 90 minutes of that shit. Never, unrelenting, never lets you breathe.
If that would have been the case, we could be talking probably one of the greatest horror remakes ever made.
Dude, that would have been so cool, man.
Because again, those characters were all alive.
Yeah.
All of them were alive.
Yep.
And there was somebody you could identify with. I identified with the guy who was searching for the pot, listening to Sister Christian. Like I would do that.
Like the guy stuck in the bear trap, that could have been an elongated scene. Like the whole movie, he's trying to get out, and maybe he has to cut off his foot, a la Saw, something like that. That would have been a fucking insane movie.
Yes, and I think people would accept a Friday movie where you're not behind the point of view of Jason per se, but we see him setting up the traps. We see him stalking, maybe a POV shot, stalking the guy searching for the pot. I think the audience would accept that kind of thing because you kind of did that in some of the Friday movies anyway.
Yeah, and just have the balls to leave him sackhead Jason for the entire movie. Don't give us the hockey mask. Don't even give us a hint of the hockey mask until 2 or 3 sequels later. Because people would have loved that movie regardless, I think, if they had done that movie, if they had done that move.
I want to ask you and the people in the chat, how do you feel about the sackhead Jason? Do you think it's as good or better than a hockey mask?
I think it's probably scarier because Jason's never really been scary besides part 8. The hockey mask is the iconic look. I love it. I would prefer it over the sackhead, but the sackhead is undoubtedly scarier. I think he looks cooler as sackhead Jason in part 2, but there's no denying he's scarier by far in the remake when he's the sackhead version. Because it's like tight fitting and like you see the one eye and like he looks mean. You could call him derpy in part 2, but there's still a charm to it. But in sackhead in the remake just looks frightening.
So when it comes to the portrayals of Jason too, how do you feel about Derek as a performer? Because to me, I think he's visceral. I think he's a modern Ted White with a little bit of Brooker too. But I like him a lot. I really.
He was good. He was menacing. The stuff where Jason had to act per se, he wasn't as being a brute in the woods. He did a good job in those like intimate scenes where he's looking at the photos and then freaking out and throwing his tantrum. Like he did a good job. My problem really was the aesthetic of Jason himself, the makeup. I've said this before, the long hair. I don't like the long hair. There's too much of it. He should have been more bald and bulbous, maybe tufts of hair, but he had like a full set of blonde hair in that film. I did not like that part. And the neck was too thick. The neck was just too Ninja Turtle thick. I just was not a fan of it. He had the Batman thing going on. You know what I mean? This thing, which is sort of part 3. I get it, but we don't need that to be a part of Jason's aesthetic.
Well,
you know what I mean?
What about the face design? Do you
The
like
face design was cool. It looked like a combination of part 4 and 3. Like it was okay. It was decent enough. But there's just too much hair. Like even that dummy you're holding has way less hair than he actually had in the movie, I feel like.
Maybe he did.
At least have it get burned off or something. So we get back to the bald Jason from, part 6, 7, 8.
But did he have a good bit of hair in 2 as well? That remake hockey mask I love. Pizzal painted this. He did a good job.
I lost my remake mask too. I don't know what the fuck all these masks are. But even the hockey mask, dude, the mold that's a weird looking buck. There's something off about that mask.
I like it. I actually think this is a little darker. Maybe
it's like the nose is too lower or something though. Like the nose is placed weird.
I like the remake hockey mask though. I really do. Maybe this isn't the exact shade, but I like it.
Yeah.
It's not my favorite. I think the best mask is Jason Takes Manhattan.
Yeah.
That golden.
Yeah. It's perfect.
It's
like lacquered wood. That's what it looks like. I need to watch 2009 again. I think I'm kind of getting psyched up about it just to rewatch it and see if it's changed at all.
I reviewed it. It was shocking to me because last year we had a Friday the 13th, and I was like, I'm gonna watch the remake for Friday the 13th, and I wasn't planning on reviewing the movie because I said to myself, I've probably talked about the movie before. I've done rankings and stuff, but I watched it. It's like I just want to talk about what I actually liked about it, and that video actually got like a really good reception, and a lot of people were like, you know what, I'm not the biggest fan, but I hear what you're saying. You're right. It does have a great soundtrack, or not. You're right. Excuse me, because I never want to act like what I'm saying is key. But they're like, no, you're right. It does have a really cool soundtrack. I agree, because the guy who did the soundtrack did Nightmare on Elm Street 2. The remake soundtrack has some amazing cues in it.
It does.
I think the score is good. The opening scene is great. I think the poster is silly as it is to talk about that when reviewing a movie. I have the remake poster, which I really want to hang it back up on the wall. The remake poster of that dark green forest, and then you see that full body shot of Jason, to me is awesome. I love the remake poster.
Did you like the lake in the remake?
I thought it was okay. I mean, we don't see a whole lot of it. I like the scene of the topless girl skiing, and having fun. You've got the blonde haired dude who looks like a dollar store version of what's that big actor? The Wedding Crasher guy.
Yeah.
Him and Vince Vaughn.
Yes.
It's like you got the dollar store version of him. I thought it was fine. The lake seemed a little small, maybe, by comparison to the old movies, but I don't know. I couldn't tell where they filmed that either. It looked like it was in the South.
They filmed it in Texas, I think, which is very fucking weird. But
there's something,
sure it was filmed in Texas.
There's something about Southern woods that don't really feel like, when I think of Friday the 13th woods, I think about those Connecticut or wherever it was, like the original film where they shot. It's just different. Those woods up there are different, and that's really my Friday the 13th. That's what I think about the most.
Maybe that's why I didn't enjoy part 3 that much, because you could just tell it was just like instantly California. Like, oh, we're just in Hollywood land now.
Right.
But part 4 they shot in California too, but that movie feels more like part 1 and 2 than it does part 3, as far as locations go. To me, and I could be wrong here.
Owen Wilson was the name of the actor I was trying to say with the dollar. I would love you to rewatch it, man. I mean, look, I don't think you're going to change your mind per se, but I think what the film does good, it does good. But where it lacks, it lacks. I think, a lot of the characters in the film post the opening scene are in fact stereotypical, and even the dialogue, it's like you can kind of say their lines as they're happening if you never saw the movie, because it just seems so predictable. Yeah. But you know, I like the remake. It's not in my top 5, but it's not in my. I don't even think it's in my bottom 5. I think it's somewhere in the middle.
I've noticed there's a huge cult following building around that film. Like I see everybody goes to bat for that movie and all the groups I'm in. Like there's a big following of the remake building.
If you look at the big 3,
Mm.
I really should say big 4. I hate when I do that, quite frankly. It's because Leatherface just deserves to be in that camp.
Mm.
Friday the 13th is, I don't want to say the safest choice, but it's the least offensive to the fans in a sense. Because obviously, if you're a diehard Halloween fan, you're going to have strong feelings about Rob Zombie's movies one way or the other.
Mm.
And I rarely see people say they're fine. It's either, oh, I like the Rob Zombie films, or no, I hate them. I mean, and
I agree.
People say that about a lot of movies, but truly, I don't know many people that just say the Rob Zombie films are fine. You'll find some interesting takes, like I hate the first one, but I really like the second one. Pizal's like that.
That's becoming a thing too. FYI.
That's becoming a thing.
Yep.
And then with the Nightmare remake, most people I know don't like it.
Mm.
And they say this movie is just bland, boring, and it's nowhere near as good without Robert. Friday, though, it seems like most people will say, I'm not really a big fan of it, or it's okay. I think that's the one where you hear the most it's okays, but it's the safest one. It's the least offensive of the remakes. It doesn't do anything to piss off Friday fans. Most of them just say, oh, this isn't as good as a lot of them, or blah, blah, blah. But I think it's just the safest remake.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't do anything to piss off. If you're a fan of the Friday the 13th, I don't think that movie does anything to piss you off really bad. Maybe. Like some people talked about not liking Jason taking quote unquote a prisoner. I can understand that. But me, I start saying to myself, I really don't think that's out of character for Jason.
And that was a decent and practical attempt to change up the formula in a way that wasn't disrespectful to the lore. So that wasn't too much of a stretch for me to buy that he was taking prisoners, because it wasn't like he was taking prisoners. He was taking one chick who he thought was like his mom.
And
it's like he had been doing that.
Yeah. Who's to say what would have happened if when Jenny put on the suit or the mom's sweater and she didn't move out of the way enough for Jason to see his mom's head on the table and not realize he was stoic. He was hypnotized at that point. Mm-hmm. He was going to take it. It wasn't until he saw this mom's head was on the table he snapped out of it.
Right.
So I just think it's plausible. It's plausible to me that he. Yeah. Now I agree. The sewers. It's like, what the hell's going on here? It's like, is he a hamster? Who did he build?
Didn't they say that like Crystal Lake in that timeline was supposed to be like an old mining camp? Didn't the producers say that in a commentary or some shit?
I've never listened to a commentary track for it, so it's very possible.
That's an easy way to explain it away. I don't really buy it because it's right next to a lake, but the water table will be out of this world if you're right that close to water. But yeah, it's a cool idea, I guess. But I think they could have found a better way. Just have him living in one of the cabins. You know what I mean? He doesn't have to teleport. They were the whole reason was to explain how he teleports.
Right.
Just don't have him teleport. You know, show us that it takes him time to get from point A to point B. Let us hear him coming through the woods. That would be awesome.
Thoughts on Bill Skarsgård being the next Freddie?
Nah.
That was pretty quick. You don't think he would do a good job?
No, he would do a great job. I just think it's too much at this point. He's Pennywise. He was just in Barbarian. Like it's too much, man. It's too much. He's already Pennywise. I don't want to see him play Freddy Krueger. He would do a great job, sure. But he's going to be Eric Draven soon too. It's like it's too much at this point. He's going to be the Will Smith of horror if he doesn't chill out.
Should Kevin Bacon actually play Freddy?
10 years ago, I would have said yes. Now I think he's too old. If he was doing a one-off or maybe even a trilogy, he could fucking kick fucking ass as Freddy. Should he? Probably not.
I'm just trying to picture it. So, are you down? There is talks of 2 more Texas Chainsaw movies happening post the movie we just got.
Mhm.
Are you down for more? Because I'm down for more.
I was not a fan of that movie. I am not a fan of that movie. I
Is there anything that you like about it though?
um
Let me just, before you answer, tell me if you can meet me halfway on this, and if you can't, I understand. I have always said my Leatherface is not a slasher icon.
mhm.
My Leatherface is that family member who is scared and does what his family tells him to do, and he protects himself. The reason I gave this movie a pass is because he's acting out of revenge of losing his caretaker.
Mhm.
And that makes sense to me, that he's stopping at nothing to kill all these people that caused his mom or caretaker, whoever she was, to have a heart attack and die. So he's acting out of blind rage and he's just killing at will. It works for me in that sense. So I don't want to sound like a hypocrite. And I think to me, you will not convince me that that movie was doing a satire of the requel legacy character coming back. I
I
see it as
was
a satire.
I was pleasantly surprised to pick up on that when I watched it. That's one of the few things. I was also pleasantly surprised that it was really making fun of this new pristine attitude of this generation, if you know what I'm talking about. Like it was
I,
making fun of that whole situation, which I liked. I'm glad it was doing that. That was unexpected. But I don't know. I didn't like the town setting. I thought the town was really weird. His mask. Somebody else said this in another video that he looked like a microwaved baby, which I agree with. I think the mask is horrid in the movie.
how did he tie the mask onto his face? Was he putting
There's
her ears over his ears?
Yeah, he had holes where the ears go and they fit over as like a headphone. You pull the headphones over your ear. That's how it was. He had holes here and he went. Whoosh.
He looked like Ghostface to me because the eyes look sad. The
Yeah,
eye
he looked
holes look
sad,
really
but
sad.
I don't know. The town setting was weird. The kids buying this town. I'm like, where the fuck
Did they get this money?
these people were on cocaine when they wrote this movie.
And then
I
they had an auction where people showed up to buy all these. They bought the town.
Yeah, I think the
With
movie
all
should
that
have been,
student loan debt, they still bought the town.
if it was a different plot, they shouldn't have been in a town like that. That town didn't look like an American Texas town. It looked like an old town in Bulgaria,
Dude,
which is where it
don't
was.
you have to? Do you not appreciate the cheapness of shooting a ball? Like to me, it's like a welcome friend at this point.
It
I'm not. I swear to God, I'm not trying to excuse it because it clearly looks like a set. It reminds me of like Back to the Future on a micro budget version where they built Hill Valley's
it does. It
downtown.
does.
You know,
They should have just used Leatherface's fucking house. Have it be the house.
well, it was at the end of the movie too.
I get it, but like just have the movie take place there and don't have the fucking town and don't have Sally. That was a big problem. Big problem.
Hey, wait. Well, like I said, when it comes to Sally, is it my imagination or does anybody else feel the same way? To me, they were satiring Jamie Lee Curtis as the
They,
legacy, the old, quote unquote, old legacy character coming back, and she just gets crumpled by Leatherface. Like she gets destroyed.
yeah, it is a satirization. They weren't even capitalizing off the Jamie Lee Curtis thing. They were satirizing it because she not only gets her ass killed and like, as soon as she comes back, but she also blatantly says, "You don't remember me." That's totally the 2018 plot where Michael Myers doesn't fucking care about Laurie Strode. It's that done again in your face. I get it. It's disrespectful, I think, to the character, to the legacy of the character, and to Marilyn Burns. I get that sounds hokey, but that's my take on it. It just they did not need to be there.
Fair, but I feel the same way because I love Marilyn, and Marilyn's in Next Generation too.
Mm-hmm.
She's in the hospital bed.
But I can see why people did like the film. I'm just not one of them. Yeah. I've said this before. I'm glad people liked it because it ensures the continuation of the franchise, whether it be on the big screen or Netflix. Netflix is fine. But at the same time, it's a double-edged sword because that movie was so successful. It means more of that. versus more of a different kind of Leatherface movie. So
people don't agree with me, man, and I understand that. Maria says you're giving the movie way too much credit and claiming it was a satire of Halloween 2018. It was just lifting it. Look, you very well could be way more right than me. That's just the way it plays out to me. Because
it had to have been a
I think,
satire.
to me, Maria, and here's the thing, I don't think we'll ever get to know the truth about this. There's so much speculation. Is this movie, quote unquote, anti woke, or was it edited in a way that it turned into that? There's so much speculation. And guess what information we've gotten on that from the director and the producers? Nothing.
And good, leave it that way too.
And that's the dilemma, Maria. You could very well be right. There's a chance I could be right. There could be a chance the director was like, "Oh yeah, we're clearly poking fun at the legacy characters and how silly it is that these quote unquote older characters are trying to come back and face blah blah blah." But then you have to look at it in the same way, and Maria's side of it, she that person may be saying, "Well, Leatherface is old too," or Michael Myers is old too, blah blah blah. It's just one of those things. Like, well, like Brandon said, we're probably never gonna know the truth on how this movie went down. That's the biggest mystery to me.
Yeah.
But well, I get it, dude. That 2022 movie is not for everybody. Let me ask you this and the chat this. On the flip side of things, or not necessarily the flip side, Texas Chainsaw 3D is clearly a movie that doesn't take itself too seriously, and it's clear that it was just a popcorn fun movie to me. The fact that they went with a 3D aspect, I'm a big fan of that movie.
Love it. Yeah.
So, yeah, there you go. I want to see what are people's thoughts on Texas Chainsaw 3D, because I'm seeing some comments saying the franchise is they haven't had a good one since 06 is the beginning.
God, that movie is so fucking good.
I'm vocal about this. I'm a bigger 06 fan than the 2003 remake, which may be controversial to some extent, but I think most people, even if they don't agree, they'll say, "Oh, well, that's cool. I like 06 as well." I think 06 just hit the nail on the head for that movie.
Yeah, it's so good.
I like 3D, but I don't think 3D is the same type. I wouldn't judge them the same way. I think 3D is
3D
trash. But good
3D 3D in 2022 Texas Chainsaw are the H2O and Halloween 2018 legacy sequel comparisons. Totally different legacy sequels to their original, counterpart. I know H2O was continuation of 2, but I think you get what I'm saying here. But 3D just felt like the proper legacy sequel to me, because Leatherface felt more like old Leatherface. That opening scene was awesome where the fucking house gets torched. It's more soap opera-y. I get it because she's like his cousin, and like there's the branding of the tattoo, and like there's all that stuff. But that just felt like a better, more organic continuation of the story than Texas Chainsaw 2022 did. And I understand the fucking discrepancy with the tombstone dates, and they messed up the timeline and all that shit. That's very problematic. But I think 3D is the better film as a sequel to the original overall. And it's mind-blowing to me that 2022 is the more popular film. I get it, but I don't get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But 3D also came out at a terrible time for movies at the same time. Like, it was just bad timing.
It was a day late and a dollar short in a sense, right?
Yeah.
2013, we're getting into the Conjuring era, or we were knocking on the door of the Conjuring era.
Yep. And not perfect by any means. I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm just saying I think it's a better legacy sequel than 2022.
And I just think it's that movie is, they trimmed the fat, if there was any, quite frankly. I think it moves quick. It's got enough characters, but it's not way too many. I think the people you're not supposed to like are the most entertaining. I love the mayor. My favorite thing the mayor does is, "I heard you got the old Sawyer place, blah, blah, blah." Yeah. And she's like, "Are you a Sawyer?" And then he goes, "I tell you what," he goes, "I tell you what, I'll take that whole place off your hands for free." Like, what a hell of an opportunity. You want to take my house that I just inherited from me for free?
Yep.
He goes, just the fact that he goes, "I'll tell you what, I'll take that whole place right off your hands. I'll take it from you for free.
See, man, they were building some good town lore in that film.
They were.
And they expanded on it with 2017's Leatherface. I know people fucking hated that movie. I enjoyed it. But they were developing a really good lore in those films that I'm kind of pissed off we're never going to really see fully executed, but that's where we are.
Yeah, my thing with Leatherface, I've watched it a couple times now. I don't think it's a bad movie anymore. And I can't explain it. And I fucking hate saying it because I can't explain it. It doesn't feel like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre film.
I hear you.
And if, like, again, I hate saying that because if I can't back up what I'm saying, I feel like an idiot. And I feel like one of those people that just says, this movie sucks. Well, what's wrong with it? I just don't like it. Well, tell me what could be better about it. I hate that. Believe me, I can't stand it when you hear somebody shit on a movie, but they can't articulate what they would have done differently, how they would improve it, what was wrong with it. I don't like hearing that, but that's why I don't like saying it. But if you ask me what feels like what does a Texas Chainsaw Massacre feel like, I would say every single other film, including the 2022 film.
I hear you. There's definitely problems with 2017 as far as tone and like the character choices and the stupid bait and switch thing. I hear you. There's problems. There's definite problems with it. But to 2022's credit, the Bulgaria we see in 2022 feels like West Texas. The one in Leatherface 2017 feels like fucking Bulgaria.
Yeah.
So that's 1 point in favor of 2022.
Me and Sydney were actually talking about this the other day. I was asking Sydney what she thought about this. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3.
Mm-hmm.
People have opinions on this film that are very interesting. I personally see Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3 as tone-wise a mix between 1 and 2. I think it's certainly got funny shit from 2, but then I think when the film, even though Toby clearly has stated, no, the first one's a comedy too. The music makes it serious as a heart attack, you know? But I think when one of the things about Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3 that I fucking love, it's so dark and creepy when their brother and sister, right? In that movie, right? They weren't a couple, were they?
Who in part 3, the couple? Yeah, they were a couple.
They were a couple?
They were on a break, I think.
Okay, fair enough.
We're on a break.
When they're driving through town and they see the police stuff going on, and then that cop tells him to roll down the window, and he goes, "Where y'all headed?" And he goes, we're going to California. And he says, "Don't stop for nobody or nothing." The way he said that, and then you see the body getting exhumed from the ground, and they said something about they had to wear gas masks because they were the blood had turned like toxic and acidic, and if you breathed it in, it was going to get you sick. And they show this corpse in the ground. Oh, that shit's freaky, and it's serious as a heart attack.
Yeah,
that's what I love about 3.
No, 3's great.
Then it gets silly and over the top, and I think the family is good with Viggo Mortensen and stuff. I love 3. And even though that one's shot in Cali, I drove to West Texas when I was working in the oil fields. I would see those roads. And I'm not saying they were exactly like that, but it's a lot of desert plain. When I was going to Midland, Odessa to go to work, a lot of that desert plain look. So to me, it passed off as Texas. You know? I don't really have any issues with 3. I actually think Jeff Burr, guy had a tremendous amount of obstacles, obviously. But I like Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3 a lot.
3's great, and people sleep on that movie. Like that's a crazy fucking movie. It's crazy like part 2, but in a different way.
Yeah.
And that opening sequence is definitely serious and downbeat and grim, and the cameo by Stretch is cool. But yeah, part 3 is good. Part 3 is really good. I'm not a fan of the look of Leatherface 100%, but
you don't like hair metal Leatherface?
I think the mask and the teeth are just a little bit too weird looking. They're a little bit too witchy, I think, in part 3.
I've got the mask. I've got it right here. He's certainly got some long hair, but there's a like a belly button tattoo right there of like
Yeah.
a rose, and I like the eyes on it. I like it when the eyes have like almost like this, and it like the stitching almost makes him look like he's got like a mean eyebrow.
Mhm.
I like the look of part 3. It's not my favorite. I think the best look. I never get to show these anymore because they're not in frame when I'm recording videos. This is my baby. I got this years ago. This is
Look at that.
this is Leatherface.
Yeah, that's the mask.
Yeah.
That mask scared me to death as a kid, and it scares me to death now.
And look at the eye. Look at like that's the face. This is what when I think Leatherface, this is what I'm saying. Like he's not a slasher icon.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Like to me, he's like the last resort. Like in the like not necessarily like he doesn't attack because he wants to. He only does it because he feels he needs to protect himself or he needs to make his family happy. So that facial expression is perfect for this. I love and this thing's like a heavy duty like resin, like it's solid. But I love this. I think Pretty Lady is the best look ever though. I want a Pretty Lady bust.
Yeah. Pretty Lady's freaky as hell, but yeah, I hear you. His perpetual look in the first film of shock and horror is pretty damn scary because he's not really enjoying this
No.
in the first film, and he's definitely freaked out. And it's that fucking look, that scene in the woods where he kills Franklin in the first film, and you see him, it kind of crash zooms in on his face as the flashlight hits him, and his eyes are bugged out, and he's sort of smiling. That scene haunts me to this day because of that fucking expression of shock and horror, and he's not, I don't know. It's just, that's a freaky ass fucking, yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
And I've always been a fan. Part 2 is the Texas Chainsaw movie I grew up with.
Oh, it's the sequel, man.
That's the best sequel.
It's so good.
That, you know, I can understand. I understand the love for the remake. I really do. I truly do. I'm not saying it's a bad film at all. People love that remake. To me, it's no question. It's Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
Yep, that's it. That's all you need. That is all you need.
You don't get much better than that.
Mm.
You know,
And part 2, as crazy as it is, as wild as part 2 is, I feel like it's still the only sequel that feels like it has the DNA of the first film in it.
Toby.
As fucking crazy as it is, man, it's got to be Tobe Hooper. It feels like the same continuity, besides the cook, besides Jim Sedow and stuff, and his presence in the film.
You know, it's so funny about part 2. I love is the cook completely downplaying Dennis Hopper when he goes, like, he's having this moment, right? I'm the Lord of the Harvest, and then you go to cook. Who's that? Huh? Just completely
food punch. Yeah.
completely just takes, like, as the audience member, I die laughing because he's having this moment. Like, this is his do or die moment. And he's doing this thing. And then just, who's that? Health food punch. And I love to death. I feel like Rob Zombie had to have taken an insurmountable amount of inspiration from Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 because of the lair in the House of a Thousand Corpses. I feel like that was like when you look at the Texas Chainsaw Massacre one, that one felt even more authentic than Zombies in a sense, because what they literally did, and I learned about this on the 4K release from Vinegar Syndrome, Carolyn Williams said they were going to thrift stores and just buying lamps and literally just hanging them all over that lair to light the place, and that's why it's so guttural and gross. But I think Zombie had to have taken a bunch of inspiration because of the end scene of House of Thousand, which is fucking amazing.
Yeah, too.
House of
I
Thousand.
feel like Texas Chainsaw 2 inspired everybody who makes horror movies in Hollywood the last 20 years, but nobody admits it. Like, they're never going to be like, oh, I was inspired by Texas Chainsaw 2. Like, nobody says it, but we can fucking tell, guys.
Yeah.
I hear you.
Yeah.
I
would like to see the cut of the movie. Well, I don't know if they filmed it all, where you find out that Stretch's dad was in fact Lefty.
Mhm.
Did
Yeah, I'm
they
not sure if
film?
that was actually filmed. I don't think she says it was filmed, did she?
Maybe not. I know she's, and it's common knowledge now,
Mhm.
but you know,
Yeah, part two. God, that movie's so damn enjoyable. It's such an epic, but I always forget how short it feels to watch it. Like the movie flies by.
yeah. I mean, once she
Like I
goes
wish there
back
was a
to the
3 hour cut. I wish there
yeah,
was a longer cut of it.
once she gets back to the FM station, she's basically abducted.
Let me ask you this about a Texas Chainsaw Legacy sequel. Could you imagine? Okay, that opening scene from 3D, where the original family has been recast by Bill Moseley's playing Jim Cito's part. That was a good sequence. Would you agree?
Good enough,
What if
yes.
they made a whole movie based on a redo of the ending of part one, where the family flees and we follow the family fleeing? The whole movie's a road movie, sort of a la Devil's Rejects, with the recasted family members playing the roles. In 74, dark and gritty, movie's insane from start to finish. And the last scene is Chop Top coming back from the military or wherever the fuck he's been on the road, hitchhiking, traveling
Vietnam,
trains,
yeah,
and they fucking find the lair from part two, and that's how we end the movie. Is that they find their new hideout?
1000%. Basically, Texas Chainsaw 1.5.
Dude, that's the legacy sequel or midquel they should make.
Yeah, we've talked about that. Like
Yeah,
that's brilliant.
they had the opportunity with 3D to do that, and they kind of didn't do it. I love 3D, but it should have stuck with that recasted family because that was fantastic. The
Yeah,
house could
and
still
Gunnar
burn.
Hansen wasn't Gunnar Hansen playing one of the family members too
Yeah,
in
he
the
played
opening?
Boss Sawyer in that scene, which was
Yeah.
sitting in the same window, licking his teeth. Like that was awesome.
This is Brandon's favorite physical media release ever.
I don't own that version, unfortunately.
You don't?
No.
Well, I thought I was being sarcastic because then you say like you're like I'm sick of the shit that doesn't fit on the shelf.
Oh yeah. That would I would set fire to it for sure.
Technically, it does fit on the shelf,
Does it?
but you can set it on the shelf. If this is the back wall of the shelf, you can set it like this, or you can just set it like that. That way, like you can put Blu-rays to the left or right of it, and doesn't take up as much room.
See, it looks cool.
Like,
I
oh,
get
dude,
it.
You want to watch Texas Chainsaw? Oh yeah, no problem, man. Hold on.
Yeah, let me open this fucking. God damn it! Why would they do that? I don't understand the logic here.
To make money, dude. I guess I mean, it's kind of cool. Don't get me wrong, but it needs to be like a top shelfer. I mean, it's you got your Texas Chainsaw Massacre and it's the Black Maria on there. I mean, it is what it is. It's kind of cool, but it's just like it's
short bus version of the truck.
It is a short bus version.
Here's the question. Out of all the four main remakes, Friday the 13th, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Halloween, and Nightmare on Elm Street, do you think Texas Chainsaw 2003 is the best of those four remakes?
Objectively or subjectively?
Both.
Out of the four?
Out of the four main remakes, Friday, Nightmare, Texas, Halloween, what is your favorite? I'm going to go with Texas Chainsaw 2003 out of those four.
My favorite's Friday the 13th.
Okay, that's fine.
But if I had to say what I think the best is objectively, it's no doubt. Look at the chat. No doubt in my mind, people are going to say Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I would go Friday the 13th, Halloween, Texas Chainsaw, and Nightmare.
Yeah. That's the consistency. Is Nightmare, I feel like, is the bottom of everybody's list. There's something so lukewarm about that movie.
Nick wanted to do the commentary for the podcast, and we did. And there are things about the movie that aren't bad. Like the boyfriend character, he was in Smile. What's his name? His name was Quentin in the movie. But he's good. He's actually a good actor. Nobody really seems to like the direction of Nancy in that film. They didn't take risks where they should have. I mean, I'd be hard pressed to find anybody that never disagreed that when they had that moment of Freddie being innocent and then they backpedal.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people would agree. No, why did you that's a risk that you could have done, and
That would
it's
have been great.
not only plausible in a weird way, it kind of makes a little more sense
It does.
because he made a deal with the devil to extract revenge, you
Mhm.
know. But they
And
backpedaled on
it
that.
also gets us away from him being a fucking child diddler.
It was all
Because
there.
if they had done that shit, you could root for Freddie again.
And to quote Willy Wonka, it's all there, black and white, crystal clear.
Right.
It was right there in their hands.
It's fucking missed opportunity, man. That was a missed opportunity.
So yeah. So now I will say one thing that's great about the remake is this. Again, Steve Jablowski, I think's the guy's name. He did the Friday the 13th remake and the Nightmare on Elm Street. The score, the music for the remake is great too. I mean, there's some amazing pieces in that. But yeah, Friday the 13th, Halloween, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and then Nightmare. Because I've gotta stop myself, Brandon. I still find myself buckling every now and again because of how much people hate the Rob Zombie Halloween films. I've got to stop saying to myself, "Oh yeah, I love Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. I'll take or leave the first one, but Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 is my." No, fuck that. I like both of them. I like Rob Zombie's Halloween, and I like his second one. So that's why I'm putting Halloween over Texas Chainsaw. I don't dislike Texas Chainsaw. I swear to God, I don't. I like 06 better. I love Jessica Biel, don't get me wrong. But I don't know.
Part 6 was a way grittier film.
I mean, that's how I feel.
Part 6 was a crazier film. I like 2003 better, but 2006 is up there equally with it, I think.
Yeah. 06 is my Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake.
That was a fucking great theater experience too, man. 06.
Yeah, that was the first Texas Chainsaw Massacre I ever got to see in the theater. Scared the shit out of me. Scared the shit out of me.
Yeah. Back to Friday, though. Out of all the Friday movies or eras, whatever you want to call them, Crystal Lake itself, Crystal Lake and the surrounding area, what is your iconic Crystal Lake? What version? Because it seems like it's different in every single film.
Oh, hands down. No question, the first movie.
Is it the first? Okay.
Absolutely. Dude, I love Friday the 13th, the first movie. I love the setting. That's my Crystal Lake. That's what you were asking me earlier about where was this movie film was. And that's what I said earlier. Dude, for me, it's the first or second. Like when they shot
you like the legitimate Northeast forest.
Yeah, I think they shot it in Connecticut or something.
I think so.
Something
like that.
That is Crystal Lake.
Yeah.
1,000,000%. That's Crystal Lake.
For me, it's part 6.
Part 6, yeah.
Which I know is Georgia. I get it. It's the trees look like Florida and stuff, but part 6 is the iconic Crystal Lake and surrounding area for me. It looks how it should look.
Yeah.
But I get it. Part 1 is probably up there.
To me,
as far as one or the other.
It's so iconic. You know, when I first watched the Friday the 13th original, I thought it was like, and I was like, oh, the sequels are my jam. This is what I'm talking about. I have fallen in love with the first Friday the 13th. I miss that in movies. You don't see that anymore. Like the scene where Adrienne King or Alice, she's prepping her coffee and stuff, and she's in the cabin, and it just, you feel like shit is about to go down. And the scene is not really tense, but there's this veil of like, shit's going to hit the fan. And there's just this moment where you're with her and she's getting her stuff. I've heard a lot of people talk shit about that. They're like, it's just boring. Nothing's happening. But for me, I turn the lights off in that room. I'm under the blanket and she's getting all her stuff ready. And to me, I just feel the darkness and I love the tension in that. And I miss that in films. You don't see a whole lot of that anymore. You kind of do, but not to that level.
Yeah.
And I am not saying every movie needs to be like that, but I fucking love the first Friday. It's now my second favorite.
Really?
Swear to God. Part 4, because Part 4 is possibly the greatest slasher film ever made.
Yeah.
But I love Part 1.
Part 1 is I understand why Part 1's popular, but you mentioned Part 4. We need to talk about Part 4 real quick. I know I'm dragging on with this, but the final chapter, it seems like it tops everybody's list. Not mine, because Part 6 is my favorite. Part 4 is number 2. So Part 4 is considered the masterpiece of the series. It's crazy to me, and I can't figure out why. Yeah, look at that shit. It seems like part 4, the final chapter, not only transcended the Friday the 13th franchise as far as the best movie in the series, but I feel like people who don't even like Friday movies or sometimes even horror movies in general can understand and appreciate and enjoy the final chapter as a film.
I think I
It's
have an
almost like it's almost like it's not even a horror film. It's just a contemporary film, like I don't know what the fuck you put it as, but there's something weird about part 4 that everybody seems to like, and I cannot figure out what it is.
Well, I think I have an answer of why a lot of people say part 4 is the best. I think, and I'll see if the chat may not agree with me. I think part 4 is the Dream Warriors of the Friday the 13th franchise. I think the stakes are raised even higher. You've got a cast where you can basically name off every character in that film. Everybody in part 4 has an identity. Teddy, Crispin Glover's character, the twins. You've got I forget the character's name. She'll excuse me, but I forget everybody's name. I can't even remember Owen Wilson's name. But you've got the boyfriend and then the girl with the black hair. Then you've got the pretty boy with the black hair that wants to sleep with the goody two shoes girl. And then everybody has a character in that film, and they're so identified. Everybody is a human being.
Mm.
You got Corey Feldman and his older sister. Everybody has they seem like a real human, and they have a personality, and it just all gelled.
Yeah.
In some ways, I think those characters gelled even better than Dream Warriors. Although I love Dream Warriors, it's my favorite franchise, but part 4 is fucking perfect.
Yeah.
I have not even a half of a complaint with any human being in part 4. Like seriously, to me, it's just the fucking best.
It's like part 6 is my favorite. It's the rock and roll Jason movie, but part 4, when you watch 1, 2, and 3 and 4 back to back,
They
like
build
1, 2, and 3 feel like a part. Part 4, from the moment the first frame happens on screen, that movie feels like the cast and crew have been making movies for 100 years and they have their shit together 100%. Like it feels like it feels so meticulously good and precise and sharp that it's just like it blows my mind sometimes how good the quality jump from 1 to 3 to 4 is insane to me.
And the cool thing is, even though it's not obviously the final chapter, it feels. I mean, it really feels.
I mean,
like technically,
the final chapter. Yeah, it was the end of Human Jason, technically. So it pretty much was. That would have been the final chapter if dumb fuck hadn't dug him up. So, in that regard, it's not lying to us. You know what I mean?
I mean, they went out of their way to make it feel like this is it. I mean, this is the real deal, guys. So, yeah, to me, part 4, and then Ted White, to me, is the best Jason ever. He was angry. He didn't like the kid. He didn't like Corey Feldman, and he was, he didn't want. I was so happy because these came yesterday, the steelbooks for part 4, and me and Sydney were watching it last night. Judy Aronson, yeah. This is the main. To me, this is the main event. Just the main event. To me like Friday the 13th 5 feels like the beginning of season 2. But the end of the first season is the final chapter.
Yeah, I hear you. It's just amazing to me because so many lists, critics, and even like horror connoisseurs who are kind of snooty tooty. Final chapter seems to that's part 4 in a fucking franchise, and it blows everybody's lists away.
It's so good.
It's insane.
Yeah. But the bottom of my list is Freddie versus Jason.
Is it really out of the whole franchise?
Out of the whole franchise. But I don't hate it. I was reading that book. I was doing videos on it, all the scripts that were getting made, and some of them were really bad. Like all these writers were wanting to make the movie have the millennium, like the end of the world, take place as part of the script, and that was the reason Freddie and Jason was happening. They were like, some of the scripts were bad. So I've actually really like gotten over myself a little bit with Freddy versus Jason. Like, you know what? This is truly better than a lot of the shit I'm reading about. It really is. And I love Freddie. Robert's always great. Robert. He doesn't ever even in Freddy's Dead. I can understand people not liking that film, but I mean, Robert's still Robert in that movie. Meet me halfway.
Yeah.
But I understand it. We could have put a little bit more seasoning on Jason in that film for sure. But yeah, that's my bottom. But that could change one day, dude. I don't know.
That movie at least looks really good.
It does look good.
It has great cinematography in that fucking movie.
Yeah, and I would
20
like
years old this August, by the way. That's fucking insane, dude. Insane. 20 years old. This August, that movie will be 20 fucking years old. We are 78 to H2O Halloween right now with that movie. That blows my fucking mind. Now I'm depressed.
Oh, I was 11.
Yeah, I was 16. I remember seeing it. I saw it in theaters 2 or 3 times, and that movie fucking rocked the house opening night, man. That was a fucking packed theater. Not a shitty crowd, but like everybody was just, it was an interactive crowd, dude. That was a baller fucking theatrical experience, man.
Yeah. Here's one thing I want to bring up when it comes to Kane in that movie. You know how there's like this big thing about who really didn't want Kane, blah, blah, blah. We talked about this when we had Pizzal on, when we talked about the New Line era. I think none of them wanted Kane. And I'll tell you why. If Kane Hodder had gotten that role and he looked at the script and he's reading the scenes about Jason being afraid of water and he has a moment, do you want to tell me Kane Hodder's not raising his voice to the director or putting his foot down the way he was able to do on Jason X or things like that? Tell me that Kane Hodder wouldn't have been a problem on set. Not for us, the fans, or when we look at it, like, oh, he's a problem, but for them making that film. Tell me he wouldn't have been a thorn in their side.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear you. He would have been. Probably. Because there was a lot of stuff in that script that would have been like, yeah, they needed a yes man.
A yes
for
man.
Sure. Because Robert Englund, I'm sure Robert's not difficult, but I'm sure he's probably enough of a.
And that was his house.
Yeah. So
he was on
two would have been too much probably.
Yeah, he was on home turf. Robert was on home turf. He owned New Line. I mean, and there's also a point to where you really don't even write for Freddie by that point.
Yeah.
You're gonna tell Robert Englund what Freddie's gonna say in a scene. You know, I mean, you gonna tell Ric Flair what his promo is? No. Like at that point, but with Jason at that point, they were sculpting that movie a certain way, and yeah, they needed a yes man, 1,000,000,000%. And Ken was a logical step to go. They wanted the David and Goliath look, which I don't necessarily understand why they wanted that. Since when was Freddie like supposed to look like a shrimp?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Especially since they made him look so big in New Nightmare. Different continuity, I know, but
he was a
Robert Englund could look big if they wanted him to. Like they didn't have to make him look shrimpy and puny.
Yeah.
So, earlier you mentioned what production company would you want to see a reboot of Friday? And I'm having trouble with that question. I've been thinking about it this whole time, is because I want to say Paramount, but that's a different beast now. It's not the same kind of thing. New Line's not the same. Robert Shea's not even there. So it's like, no. I don't know, man. Like all these houses we want to say for old school nostalgic reasons, they're not the same places anymore. It's just depressing shells of what they used to be. So maybe A24 is the only place that could do justice because it's new. And I would not want to see Universal do anything with it.
But yeah, especially because Universal basically means Blumhouse, since that's who Blumhouse has most of their dealings with.
Yeah.
I just don't want Blumhouse anywhere near Friday. I just have a bad feeling. And you've heard Jason Blum talk on Twitter a lot, saying like, "Oh, I was trying to. I had a meeting with a team today. We could have done amazing things, but they turned us down. We'll see how much they regret that." And everybody knew he was probably talking about Nightmare on Elm Street or Friday the 13th. We know Friday. We know they're not involved. It could have been Friday, but
Did the Halloween trilogy turn you off of Blumhouse? Is that what did it in for you? Or do you just not want them to touch these properties?
well, I don't really. I tell you what, I don't think you can blame Blumhouse for Halloween.
Hmm.
I think you blame David Gordon Green. He wrote the damn thing. Look, I get it. Most people are just like, what the hell was Halloween Ends? Where's the story? And I'm with them. I'm with them. You're right, guys. Where is the story there? Storytelling goes like, that's another thing with Friday the 13th, linear or not, you're taking a step forward one way or the other. And I think that's what makes it endearing to us, because that's why we do the marathons. We watch the films. We're taking a journey.
Yep.
He gets killed. He's back in the lake. He comes back. He goes back in the lake. He comes back. He gets. Where's the story with the Halloween movies that we got? There is none. There's zilch.
Mm-hmm.
It's anti-story.
It is.
It's the Amnesia trilogy.
Like the sequel trilogy. But yeah. So yeah. Know. So you would have A24 take on the reins if you had your druthers for Friday.
Possibly. I mean, look, I think with A24, it's really who they hire to write and direct it, because they leave them alone. It seems like with A24. I mean, look at the movies they make. They're all clearly they're reaching people because they're not so overproduced. They're letting people write and direct these movies, and they're letting them film it, leaving them alone. Look at, I mean, what studio would have produced and had roundtable discussions on a movie like X? What decisions would have been made at a big studio to make those decisions about, do we show Kid Cudi's penis all the way, or do we just let it, no, they would have never had a scene like that to begin with. That was clearly a director making his own movie. So it really depends on who they hire to do Friday the 13th.
So with that said, but you would trust A24 to hire the right director and get it done more than Paramount would these days, or New Line, or somebody like that.
Well, again, with Paramount, you got to look at which production team is involved with that too. Right now they're doing stuff with Spyglass, with Scream right now, and I don't know if is it Spyglass or it's Spyglass, right? Isn't that the company with those? Yeah,
I couldn't tell you.
It just depends. I need to see more, and once I see the new Scream, maybe I can have an idea. I want Jason to completely go back to Paramount, totally. That way we can call the film Friday the 13th again.
That would be the dream. And also get fucking Mancuso Jr. out of retirement and let him write. I don't care if it's ceremonial. Let him be there with the production. Because Mancuso Jr. fucking held the hand between between 2 and 8, right? He saw those movies get done.
Yeah, he did. Well, he didn't do 8. Fred Mullen did 8. He did.
No, Mancuso. You're talking about Manfred. I'm talking about the producer.
Oh, Manfredini. Yeah,
Mancuso Jr. Dude, yeah, he wasn't the cod to those movies. I don't think he wasn't that level, but I feel like without him involved in 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, those movies would have fucking fell apart.
Well, I guarantee you this, Brandon. Had he not separated himself from the series, that sale to New Line may not have happened.
Yeah.
He steered the ship. He basically was in charge of the franchise from what, 4 on, 5 on?
I thought it was like 2 on. I thought he came on board, but I could be wrong.
Well, I think he was a lackey for part 2.
Mm-hmm. That's right. I think he jumped on in part 3 with.
He did jump on as a producer for part 3. Sean Cunningham was the producer on 2.
Right. Yeah.
Some say he even helped direct some of that movie.
Yeah, those stipulations.
It does feel exactly like the first movie tone-wise too, part 2.
It does.
Which is the only one that feels like part 1.
It is, which is weird, but so Nightmare on Elm Street, would you A24 the same answer? Because they're the weirdest company right now.
Lionsgate. I don't know, dude. Elm Street, I seriously don't have a effing clue.
Well, technically, if it was Lionsgate, it'd be Twisted Pictures doing it, right? Technically.
Twisted Pictures, that's what we need.
Oh God,
I'd let Platinum Dunes come back.
Platinum Dunes. Jesus Christ, that's a tricky one, man. I don't know.
Oh, dude, are you excited about Texas Trick or Treat Studios getting? Oh, let me bring this up before. So, guys, I posted about this in the community tab on my page. Trick or Treat Studios got the license to the Rob Zombie Halloween masks. There's a few things I want to talk about. If you guys bought the Halloween 6 through 8 4Ks, if you watch the special features on said 4Ks, at the end of the special features, when they have an interview with somebody and they show clips from the movie while they're talking, at the end of the special features, it says footage of Halloween 6. I'm telling you, I'm not making this up. Footage of Halloween 6, Curse of Michael Myers, courtesy of Paramount Pictures. Guys, listen to me. I think Paramount, there's a chance they bought the Rob Zombie films because it looks like Paramount is buying Dimension titles. They obviously are running the Scream camp now. If you buy the Scream movies, the Steelbooks that came out on 4K, they have Paramount logos on them now. Paramount bought the Dimension Halloween films. They bought H2O. They bought Halloween 6 and Resurrection. I'm not making this up. If you've got the 4Ks, go watch the special features. And when any of them are done, it says footage of H2O, footage of Resurrection, courtesy of Paramount Pictures. Brandon sent the screenshot today of Rob Zombie sharing the image of the Trick or Treat Studios masks, right? And what did the caption say that Rob said in a nutshell? After a bunch of legal mumbo jumbo, these are finally happening.
Yeah, something like that.
I'm placing a gentleman's bet right now. Paramount bought the Rob Zombie films. Paramount is either putting the Rob Zombie films out on 4K this year, or they're going to let Scream Factory license it. I actually think Paramount is going to screw us and put out the first movie on 4K this year.
Oh, man.
And then Halloween 2 next year. Because guess what they're doing with the Scream movies right now, Brandon? Guess what they did 2 years ago? Right? They put the Scream 1 out on 4K 2 years ago. They put Scream 2 out on 4K this year. So guess what's coming out next year? Scream 3.
Mm-hmm.
Look at Dallas Jones. Dallas knows what I'm talking about. So, guys, my money says Paramount owns the Rob Zombie Halloween films. Mark my words. I'm actually going to place my bet on this. I don't think Scream Factory is going to get it. I think Paramount's going to do a steelbook and a regular release for Rob Zombie's Halloween 2007 4K. No, we're going to get 2 next year. We're getting Rob Zombie's Halloween on 4K this year. Mark my words. Mark them. Mark them. So that's what I think's happening, guys, which this is good that Paramount's doing, because you know why this is good, guys? Paramount is one of the only big studios who puts everything out on physical media. Oh, they put Orphan First Kill on Paramount Plus. Damn it. Oh, that's all right. Blu-ray's coming. Boom, Blu-ray. They put everything on physical media. We should rejoice in this. Be very happy about this. So that's why there probably hasn't been. And Brand, I was telling you about this earlier. When we asked Sean Clark about the Halloween films coming out on 4K, Halloween 6 through 8 getting announced, and we were wondering, is the Rob Zombie films about to get announced too? I did a couple videos where I was talking about this, and I said, guys, there's legal issues with the Rob Zombie films from what I was told from blank. And I eventually said Sean Clark told Nick, because Nick was like, I just asked him outright, Christian, so I guess you could say something. So I said, Sean Clark told us there's legal issues with the Rob Zombie films, so they're not coming on 4K. I got a bunch of people saying you're an idiot. That's all under the same umbrella. That's BS. You don't know what you're talking about. That makes zero sense. And I was telling you, it's not the same. The Weinstein Company is not the fucking same as Miramax.
Right.
The Weinsteins separated themselves from Miramax in the mid 2000s. They started the Weinstein Company, but the deal that they made with Miramax, quote, Disney, was that they could produce the next Halloween films, but they were released under the Dimension label per the agreement that they made with Disney.
Right.
So the Weinstein Company are the Rob Zombie films. They're not Miramax films. So they're not the same. So whoever that guy was who gave me so much shit, I've never seen you again. You left, so I couldn't say I told you so, you bastard. That guy gave me so much hell. He called me an idiot. I'm like, dude, why would I just... I talk out of my ass enough. I go out of my way to not try to sound like an asshole with this stuff. But anyway, I'm rambling, but I'm excited, Brandon. I think we're getting Rob Zombie's Halloween on 4K this year.
That'll be cool. That'll make the season. Hopefully by then, because I have, you know how much I love 6. Hopefully by then the price of that box set will have come down. It's still like what, $80, $100? Who knows how much it is? I haven't picked it up yet. I still haven't gotten it, but I need part 6 on 4K.
And it was calculated that they had to. The Scream Factory only got the license to put those out as a trilogy together.
That's weird though, isn't it?
Well, think about it.
Because they're the least popular kind of thing. Is that why? Sort of like
Nobody.
Silent Night, Deadly Night 2, 3, or 3, 4, 5.
If you look at the DVD sales for those movies, clearly Resurrection has the lowest.
Oh yeah.
So Disney was probably like, "Oh yeah, you can license them, but you have to pay for all 3 of them or none." That's the way the record companies worked back in the 80s, Brandon. Oh, you want the new Bon Jovi record? You want New Jersey? That's fine. We'll give you the records, but you also have to put this new band we have called Cinderella on radio.
Yep.
It's the same thing.
Yep.
Bastards.
I hear you. You said the H2O 4K looked fucking pristine, right?
Oh, it's not even a question. The H2O 4K was the best. Because that movie was horribly cropped, pitifully scanned, and it never looked. H2O is far. It's not even a question. H2O is far and away the best 4K upscale out of all of them. Now, part 6 they all looked amazing, but in terms of the jump, there's zero question. It's not a debate. Based on bit rate and all that, without question, H2O made the biggest leap.
Wow.
The biggest leap. H2O it looked great. It looks cinematic. It looked like a movie.
Yeah.
Despite the fact you've got your CGI mask scenes and whatnot, it's not like there's nothing that can change it. But yeah, without a doubt, H2O had the biggest jump. But the producer, I'm a bigger producer cut fan, but the theatrical cut ended up winning me over bigger as a theatrical fan on 4K because the A. Michael Lerner scenes looked fantastic because all the reds when he's going down. I forget that's only in the theatrical cut when Michael's going down the hall and it's red lights.
Yeah,
that's theatrical. That shit looked great in HDR.
Good.
So, yeah.
Anyway, we probably got to start wrapping it. We've been going for a long time tonight.
Yeah. Well, on that note, dude, if they do re-release the 4K, I hope they're packed with new special features, new Rob Zombie stuff, all kinds of shit.
It's not showing, but it's $90 right now.
Is it? That's not bad. It was like 130, right?
It was expensive.
Yeah.
That's what, $30 a 4K?
Mm-hmm. Which is pretty much what we pay already for fucking 4K.
That's actually fair, I guess.
Yeah.
So
I'll probably wait a little bit longer. I'm sure they'll have like a flash sale in July or some shit.
Yeah, probably so.
But anyway, to everybody listening, I had a good time tonight. Everybody listening, Friday. First of all, we have a lot of stock right now on You Need a Candles. We've got our Ninja Turtles. We've got Ghostbusters melts. But I want to tell you guys now, this Friday obviously is a Friday the 13th. Rest assured, we're going to be having some Friday the 13th stuff on the store, 6 p.m. on Friday. And we've got some great stuff. If you're a Jason Takes Manhattan fan, be ready. If you're a Friday 6 fan, be ready. And if you're a Final Chapter fan and you like the smell of bananas, be ready. This candle we made for the Final Chapter smells the best. I'll just tell you, it's a banana bread Final Chapter candle. And the artwork is hysterical. So be ready for those guys, right? If You Need a Candles fan. So
Brandon, can we expect anything from Tabata Vision on Friday the 13th?
Unfortunately, no. I just didn't have time to get anything together. I wanted to do some rankings and stuff and reviews, but it'll have to wait till the other Friday the 13th this year.
But
I
dude,
think there's another one coming.
You killed it last Friday the 13th. The smells.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that video. That's right. Yeah, it has like 22 views. I'm very proud of that video.
It's a good video. I watched it when it premiered.
I'll probably reshare it on Friday or something like that. That was a good. I always forget about that shit. It was so long ago.
Yeah. Oh, Brandon, before we wrap, while we still have 101 people in here, guys, I was very honored to provide the cover of the New Year's Evil song for Brandon's movie, Call Me Evil. Brandon, why don't you tell everybody really quick about Call Me Evil, where they could find it?
You can find it on Tabata Vision. Just search Call Me Evil. It says Call Me Evil, inspired by New Year's Evil. And it's like 16 minutes. It's worth a watch. It's
so beautiful,
a fun little thing. Dude. I appreciate it, man.
I remember Sydney was watching it with me when it premiered. And I was like, we were watching it and she was like, God damn, like, what kind of camera is that? I was like, it looks legit. It looks like a movie. She goes, wow. Like, cool, that shit looks insane.
Yeah, that was the Sony FX3. But yeah, dude, that was a rush fucking job for sure. And a bunch of people bailed out. So it did not turn into what I thought it was going to be. But I'm happy with what happened and your song killed it. Matter of fact, I'm glad you brought up the theme cover you were talking about because I was listening to it in the car again this week, and I had the original version on my MP3 player as well. I can't even listen to the original version anymore because it does not slap like the remake, the cover does. That you made for the fan film. It just doesn't have the punch that the new version has. So it's kind of fucking ruined it a little bit. So,
see, and that's the thing. I can't recreate that late 70s, early 80s tone.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't do it. That's all mic'd instruments, and obviously I play the drums, but I play them on my keyboard. A is the kick drum, S is the snare, and Y is the hi-hat. So I'm going do because I'm a drummer, so I'm do ka do doom do ka doom. I'm playing it, but it's obviously electronic drums. But I can make that kick drum hit, and all the guitars and stuff was fun. But yeah, I wanted to make. I tried to do a Dio version. That's what I went for. So
yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
You got to release it, man. I'm telling you, you have to release it as a single.
I guess so. I mean, it's on my Patreon. And by the way, guys, if you want to become a Patreon to me, I cover music all the time from horror movies and just whatever. And all my music is available on a Patreon. I do have a song available on Spotify and iTunes. It's called Are You Out There? I've got a new single dropping on the 19th. It's called Invisible. That'll be available everywhere. You can get your music, iTunes, Spotify. So I'm putting original music out there, but some of my covers, I got to figure out if I can get the license to put those up too. I got to see. So Antonis is saying, please answer my question. Let me find your question, Antonis. Does that, I couldn't even begin to tell you, Antonis, I have no clue if you're ever going to see that Halloween 2 documentary. Zero clue. I wish I knew. But anyway, dude, Brandon, this was the longest we've ever gone. We just kept going.
Oh shit! Yeah, 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Wow. It's 1 o'clock.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, hey, thank y'all for hanging out. We had a great man. I had like 100 people in here all night. It was crazy.
Good.
A lot of people streaming tonight too. So we got a bunch of CHH fans out there, and Tabata Vision fans.
Hopefully.
Oh yeah. Dude, it's funny. Whenever I do streams and I say, "Hey, I'm doing this," I get comments like, "Is Brandon gonna be there?" Today,
dude, I was on the fucking channel 22 times last year. I counted that playlist. And I was like, Jesus Christ, we were on that channel a lot.
Oh, on my channel, or
yeah,
damn.
So,
but you did a lot of podcasts with us, and then you were on. We started doing streams last year, so
that's true. Yeah, it was good stuff, man. Good stuff.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, y'all have a good night. I'll try to have a video out tomorrow if I can think of something to do. If not, I've got a Friday the 13th video coming out Friday, and it's over an hour, so that means you should know what kind of episode that is. Uh-oh.
Is that Uncle Chase?
The wee one has woken up. Say hi, Mr. Christian.
Hi, Mr. Christian.
Hi.
Say hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
She just woke up. So, all right, go to mommy. Here.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Peace. Good night.